Chapter 1437. Emperor Tianlong is furious. Lin Feng. Ho Qinglin looked at Lin Feng in a strange way. What was Lin Feng doing with fate seeds in his hands? Wasn't he afraid of others attacking him? Brother, said Lin Feng smiling. Ho Qinglin was with Mo Qing Tian and Xingzhan. They were all safe and sound. Ho Qinglin had already broken through to the 9th Zunqi layer, and he had an imperial weapon. With him around, nothing could happen to Mo Qing Tian and Xingzhan. They had been there for 3 years already. In that time, Ho Qinglin had broken through to the 9th Zunqi layer, Mo Qing Tian to the 7th, and Xingzhan to the 6th. Lin Feng, what are you doing? Asked Xingzhan, glancing at the fate seeds. I'm trying to attract people. It's too difficult to find people to kill, said Lin Feng, raising his fate seeds above his head. He made it sound like this was a natural thing to do. Ho Qinglin inspected Lin Feng's cultivation level and smiled. 3 years and you've already broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer. Not bad. Not many people can compete with you in here anymore. Lin Feng laughed and asked, Brothers, how are the others? Tianqi is with Li Hen and Mu Bei, Ruoxie is with Ban Ruo, Wu Yong and Ku Kan. They should be fine, replied Ho Qinglin. I hope they're doing well, said Lin Feng, smiling. Bzz. The sky shook, making Lin Feng, Ho Qinglin and the others turned around to gaze into the distance. They saw a strange light there. It's the exit, thought Lin Feng. That was the direction where they had first arrived. It's over, that's the exit. We can finally leave, whispered Ho Qinglin. 3 years, and now the messenger had opened the seal again. After the opening of the seal, they had 1 day to leave. If they didn't leave in that time, nobody knew what would happen to them. Maybe a destructive strength would wash over that world, or maybe they would have to wait for another 100 years to leave. Even if there was no destructive strength, if they wanted to leave in 100 years later, would they even be allowed to? Nobody knew. Therefore, they didn't want to try. Many silhouettes flickered towards the exit. Let's go, said Ho Qinglin. The 4 of them also moved in that direction. 3 years. I wonder how the outside world is now, thought Lin Feng. He missed his friends and family members. 3 years was a long time, so many things could have happened while they were away. The 4 of them were extremely fast, so they neared the exit relatively quickly. But at that moment, in the distance, a dazzling golden light shined and sonic booms resounded in the sky. It's Ruoxie and the bird, noticed Ho Qinglin. His imperial weapon shined as he flew towards them. Stinky bird, thought Lin Feng as he followed Ho Qinglin, jumping onto his gigantic sword. Mo Peng, you must want to die, shouted Ho Qinglin furiously. Ban Ruo was covered in his own blood already. The great oriental greenfinch rock turned his head and saw reincarnation energies reaching towards him. Slash, slash, the great rock flapped his wings and flew towards Ho Qinglin. Lin Feng also arrived with Ho Qinglin, holding his cursing scepter and yelling, Stinky bird, die. Cursing strength surrounded Mo Peng's body, turning him a little gray. He flapped his wings again, wanting to escape now. Die, 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 shouted Lin Feng. He used his full strength to attack the great rock. Ho Qinglin's silhouette flickered as he quickly assaulted the bird with reincarnation energies. The great rock gave a horrible shriek under this joint pressure. Beezy, he protected himself with one wing and flapped the other to push himself towards the exit. Reincarnation death, shouted Ho Qinglin. Reincarnation sword energies surrounded the great rock, slowing him down as he neared the exit. Then Ho Qinglin jumped forwards and was practically on his tail as he exited the world. He knew that after the bird left, Emperor Peng would be on the other side. Then he wouldn't get another chance to kill the bird. Ban Ruo, some silhouettes flickered. Ban Ruo was sitting cross-legged, trying to heal his injuries. Lin Feng arrived next to him and released life energies to help. He opened his eyes and nodded at Lin Feng. What's going on? Shouted Tianqi after he sensed that Ban Ruo was injured. That stinky bird used an imperial weapon and injured him, replied Xingzhan in a cold way. That stupid animal again. Tianqi's eyes were filled with cold lights. That stupid animal chased us for a while, but then he saw 2 lights and left. We're safe and sound now thanks to those lights. We have to kill him at some point, said Ho Qinglin. As long as you're all right, that's the most important thing. Lin Feng was displaying his fate seeds. I wouldn't have thought that it helped you. We're all lucky. I'm all right, so let's go, said Ban Ruo smiling at his friends. Then, the cultivators from Tiantai moved towards the exit. After they crossed the portal, they sensed that many people were looking at them, and all of them were emperors. None of them had left during these years. Then they sensed some people's murderous energies. They turned around and saw the bird. His chi was still gray, and he was in pain. Teacher, said Tiantai's disciples to Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu smiled and nodded back to them. Good. Lin Feng, shouted a voice. It was the crown prince and the second prince of Tianlong. Emperor Tianlong was astonished. Only 2 princes came out? What's going on? Asked Emperor Tianlong. Father, 6 and 4 were killed by Lin Feng, said the crown prince. He couldn't even say it. The words wouldn't come out. Emperor Tianlong looked at Lin Feng with a piercing gaze. Why didn't you kill those 2 as well? Asked Emperor Yu, smiling indifferently. Lin Feng was surprised and laughed. Emperor Tianlong was worried for his trashy disciples because they're too weak, so he lent them an imperial weapon. If they didn't have imperial weapons protecting them, I would have killed them too. Chapter 1438. 1 year more disciples continued to cross the portal after them. There were 34 groups in total, and a little more than 70 people came out. 11 disciples from Tiantai had made it out, but most groups only saw one of their disciples come out. Some of them had even lost all their disciples inside. Not bad, said the messenger smiling and glancing at the crowd. Much better than 100 years ago, stronger people and more of you made it out this time. You must have obtained some fate seeds too. For those of you who want to go to the holy city, tell your teachers, elders, or whatever and they'll bring you to me. At that moment, you can give me your fate seed and I'll take you to the holy city. Then you'll see how vast and great that place is. Many people looked excited after hearing him. Their teachers had never really told them about the holy city. Everybody in the continent knew that place existed, but they didn't know what it was or what it looked like. Your Highness the Messenger, my son Qi Yan will get married soon. If you wish, you can come to the empire and have some drinks with us, said the East Emperor, Emperor Dong, to the messenger. Oh, the messenger looked at Qi Yan and smiled. That's Qi Yan, right? Indeed, said Emperor Dong nodding. He said to Qi Yan, greet the messenger. Hello, Your Highness the Messenger, said Qi Yan, bowing respectfully. He already knew that the messenger was an incredible cultivator. Ha, not bad, you're a real genius. Congratulations, said the messenger smiling. Lin Feng frowned. Not only was Emperor Dong a medium-level emperor, but he also seemed to be good friends with the messenger. What was the messenger's social status in the Ba Huang province and in Jiuyu? All right, I'll close the door to the coffin. We're done for now, so everybody can leave, said the messenger while closing the door. Let's go, said Emperor Yu. Then they left. Emperor Peng and Mo Peng left as well. Then Emperor Qi, Tianlong and all the others. Bzz. After Emperor Yu and his disciples reached the edge of the Huang Sea, a fissure appeared in the sky and they flew through it. There was a strong wind emanating from that crack and it was pitch black inside. A short time after, Emperor Yu broke the fissure and they reappeared above the northern part of Ba Huang. What a terrifying speed, thought Lin Feng. They had teleported across an incredible distance. Besides, it was as if their teacher had been avoiding attacks. He had sensed that Emperor Tianlong and Emperor Qi had attacked them while they were teleporting. Emperor Yu didn't say anything though. It seemed that even after the meeting of the emperors, the situation wasn't any better in Ba Huang. After the meeting of the emperors, the situation is going to get really scary for everyone in Ba Huang. During the meeting of the emperors, there were rules to respect, but now nobody cares anymore, thought Lin Feng. Emperors were probably going to start fighting too. After a short time, they arrived in Tiantai. Everyone in Tiantai raised their heads to see who it was. They're back. They had disappeared for 3 years, and finally, they were all back, safe and sound. Lin Feng. 2 beautiful women threw themselves at Lin Feng. Meng Qing and Qiu Yuxin were excited to finally see that their lover was back. Meng Qing Yuxin, said Lin Feng, also running at them. He landed in front of them and took them in his arms. They didn't need to talk, a hug was sufficed for now. Emperor Yu, said someone else. Two silhouettes appeared from Tiantai's sky at that moment. It was Emperor Tianlong and Emperor Qi. What are you doing here? Asked Emperor Yu indifferently. The 11 direct disciples of Tiantai are extraordinarily strong. Not even one of them died during the meeting of the emperors. Now that the meeting of the emperors is over, how many of them can you protect? Asked Emperor Qi. He was blatantly threatening them. If they die, killed by other cultivators of similar levels because they took risks, I wouldn't say anything. However, if you, Emperor Tianlong or Emperor Qi, attack them personally and kill them, Emperor Shi and I will kill all of your disciples, said Emperor Yu aggressively. He sounded calm, but his words were oppressive and sharp. We don't need to attack a bunch of little boys like them personally, said Emperor Qi while smiling in a cold way. I don't trust you, said Emperor Yu. Protect them well. We're off now, said Emperor Qi. Then he turned into an illusion and disappeared. Arg! Emperor Tianlong shouted furiously and a dragon appeared in the sky. Oppressive energies fell onto everybody in Tianjing City. The dragon roared again, rose up in the air, then he disappeared. The emperors just came back, and Tianjing City was already in shock. After that, the news that the emperors and their disciples had come back spread everywhere in Ba Huang, but almost nobody knew where they had gone for those past 3 years. People guessed that it had something to do with the meeting of the emperors. Unfortunately, they would never know. Only the most dazzling cultivators could experience such things. They were wondering though, had they gone to practice cultivation somewhere? Had they killed people? Had they been somewhere mysterious? In the sky above the sky in Tiantai, Emperor Yu was acknowledging his 12 direct disciples. Emperor Yu looked at them and said, "You'll have to be very careful from now on. Emperor Tianlong and Emperor Qi are insane, and the situation in the Ba Huang province is chaotic now that the meeting of the emperors ended." Chaotic, whispered Lin Feng. Indeed, very much so. Do you still remember the Imperial Assassin Union? Disciples who finish the meeting of the emperors alive all have the potential to become emperors, which means they're precisely the Imperial Assassin Union's targets. Explained Emperor. And what about the Watchers? They were also very mysterious. Could they allow the province to be so chaotic? What if the Imperial Assassin Union wants our fate seeds? Thought Lin Feng. A chaotic situation is sometimes necessary for stability in the end. Just be vigilant for now, that's all. It's not the end of the world, said Mu Chen smiling. He was trying to cheer up his fellow disciples. In times of chaos, things changed for better or for worse. What about the Holy City? Whispered Lin Feng. His teacher hadn't mentioned the Holy City yet. They had taken great efforts to get fate seeds in the Huang Sea to go to the Holy City after all. Emperor Yu heard Lin Feng's whisper. He remained silent for a few seconds before saying, "In 1 year, bring your fate seeds to me and I'll take you to the Holy City." In any case, added Emperor Yu. The crowd looked at him in a strange way. It was as if Emperor Yu still worried about something. Only 1 year? Whispered Lin Feng. His heart was pounding. He was wondering if something incredible was going to happen within a year. Chapter 1439. Xia Tianfan. There was a mist floating at the top of the flight of stairs in Tiantai. Lin Feng was there, fighting against his own illusion again. Boom! Explosions sounded and Lin Feng was propelled away. He was covered with sweat and fixedly staring at his own self. If I don't use abstruse energies to fight against myself, I don't stand a chance. He is 100 times stronger than me. I need to condense the force of the earth and sky better before I'll be able to win. My teacher told me that if I understood the force of the earth and sky properly, I'd definitely become an emperor. Thought Lin Feng. Each floor was the same, another stronger counterpart. Lin Feng thought that if he passed the tests, he'd find a great place with cultivation treasures. But in fact there was no such thing. What Emperor Yu wanted them to understand was that if they didn't unceasingly surpass themselves, they would stop becoming stronger. The test Lin Feng was trying to pass was meant to better teach them the force of the earth and sky. Becoming an emperor is difficult. Maybe after this counterpart, I'll have to defeat myself again, but 1,000 times stronger, thought Lin Feng. He stood up and continued fighting against himself. Lin Feng, have a rest, said Meng Qing when she saw that Lin Feng wasn't giving up. All right, said Lin Feng, turning around and smiling back at Meng Qing. Then he sat down. Cultivation is something you accomplish step by step, there's no need to rush, said Meng Qing, wiping the sweat off Lin Feng's forehead with her sleeve. I can't wait though. Besides, after becoming an emperor, I want you to give birth to our child, said Lin Feng. Meng Qing blushed and leaned against him. Meng Qing, I'm dirty, said Lin Feng. He was covered with sweat and he still hadn't had a shower. Never mind that, said Meng Qing, seemingly not caring. Lin Feng, said someone from the 7th floor smiling. Teacher. Lin Feng stood up and went down the stairs. He arrived in front of Mr. Bai and sat down. Teacher, you are almost a cultivator at the top of the Zunqi layer, said Lin Feng smiling. His teacher had also been cleansed by the lights of the gate of Tiantai. He had broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer already. Little boy, don't flatter me. You can defeat me in one punch now, said Mr. Bai smiling back. Then he looked at Meng Qing and said, You remind me of my teacher and his lover. Teacher and his lover? Lin Feng repeated. Did Emperor Shi have a wife? He had never seen Emperor Shi, so he was curious. Yes, he had a wife too. She was very beautiful, a celestial being even. Everybody was jealous of them back then, said Mr. Bai smiling nostalgically. Back then she was the most beautiful woman of Ganyu, and she was exceptionally talented. Many men courted her, and nobody could defeat her besides my teacher. They kept fighting, but she kept losing. Finally, I don't know how, but my teacher managed to make her fall in love with him. Lin Feng and Meng Qing glanced at each other and giggled. Emperor Shi had funny stories too. He had been in a relationship with the most beautiful woman of Ganyu. Teacher, did Emperor Yu tell you anything about Emperor Shi? Why have I never seen him or heard about him? He didn't, said Mr. Bai shaking his head. Maybe he left with his wife. Emperor Shi couldn't let Emperor Yu take care of everything alone. Maybe Emperor Shi really was practicing cultivation? I don't know if his wife has become a cultivation emperor yet though, said Mr. Bai. Lin Feng, I heard that you'll go to the holy city in a year. Will you be going back to Tianqi before then? Asked Mr. Bai. I'll go back at some point, said Lin Feng nodding. He was planning to go to the holy city, but he didn't know when he'd come back after the holy city, so he had some things to do before that. Meng Qing, I want to go back to Shuiyu, said Lin Feng. He had been away from home for 4 years, so he needed to go back and see his family. Then, he'd go to Ganyu and avenge some people. Should I come with you? Asked Meng Qing. She didn't directly say she wanted to go. Lin Feng dragged her hand and smiled. I initially wanted you to come back, but too many people want to kill me. You should stay in Tiantai for now. I'll come back soon. All right, I'll wait for you, said Meng Qing in a gentle way. Teacher, I'm going, said Lin Feng, waving at his teacher. Then he went back up the stairs to Chiu Yuxin and Meng Qing followed. Yuxian, I'm going away for some time. I'll come back within a year. You and Meng Qing should stay here and practice cultivation, said Lin Feng, caressing her face and smiling. Be careful. Chiu Yuxian was worried but didn't ask anything. Don't worry, said Lin Feng. Then he hugged Meng Qing and said in a gentle way, Wait for me. Then Lin Feng left the two girls and rose up in the air. He jumped onto his gigantic sword and streaked across the sky at full speed. Lin Feng went to Tiansu town in the central part of Ba Huang. Then he went to the Wen clan. Shuiyu was far from Ba Huang province, so Lin Feng needed time to go back and forth. He was heading in the direction of the Tiansu teleportation portal. The Tiansu teleportation portal could teleport cultivators to the Yunhai mountain range in Shuiyu, which would save him time running between countries. Outside of the Wen clan, there were many people there. On a broad platform, there was a cultivator in black clothes with a crowd of people around him. He looked particularly proud. Lin Feng was intrigued. Was that young man causing trouble at the Wen clan? He didn't know who that young man in the black clothes was. Lin Feng landed in the middle of the crowd and listened to some people talk. That young man was called Xia Tianfan and he was famous in the Ba Huang province. He had become famous when they traveled to the ancient battlefield. He was famous because he had challenged Mu Fanchen from the magic world Heavenly Palace and had defeated him in one punch. Now, he had come to Tiansu town to challenge Wen Tiangu. He wanted to challenge all the 10 strongest young cultivators. In the distance, someone arrived. That cultivator was wearing white clothes and was holding a sword. When Tiangu had broken through to the 6th Zun Qi layer, like Lin Feng, Xia Tianfan rose up in the air and looked down at Wen Tiangu in a disdainful way. Wen Tiangu, one of the 10 strongest young cultivators, I've heard about your sword abilities. Let's fight, one attack will determine who the winner is, said Xia Tianfan straightforwardly. All right, replied Wen Tiangu nodding. He didn't look conceited at all. He had heard of Xia Tianfan and how he had defeated Mu Fanchen in one strike. Unsheath your sword, said Xia Tianfan calmly. All right, said Wen Tiangu nodding. He jumped forwards and condensed the strength of the earth and sky. He looked like he could defeat a cultivator at the top of the Zun Qi layer with such an attack. Xia Tianfan's black robe fluttered even more violently as he condensed more and more qi. Loud sounds echoed. It sounded like a million horses galloping at the same time. A subtle noise sounded as when Tiangu unsheathed his sword. He condensed deadly and empty space strength into his attack. Die! Shouted Xia Tianfan finally. He looked like an emperor with his energies whistling furiously. Chapter 1440, Beautiful Memories. How strong! He definitely studied some strange and ancient scriptures, thought Lin Feng. He knew because he had studied such ancient scriptures himself. He had never seen other people use skills from ancient scriptures though. At that moment, Xia Tianfan's punches soaring through the sky. When Tianji's deadly abstruse energy was already level 8. Xia Tianfan also used deadly abstruse energy, but coupled with monarchic qi, it was even more explosive. Rumbling sounds appeared before when Tiangu was propelled backwards. Whoa! When Tiangu coughed up blood, his face was deathly pale. When Tiangu looked at Xia Tianfan, but he didn't look upset. Instead, he looked calm. There were always stronger people, so when Tiangu had never been conceited. He knew many people who were stronger than him, such as Lin Feng. Thank you, said Wen Tiangu calmly. Many people were surprised by that, thank you? When Tiangu was thanking Xia Tianfan. You're stronger than the last one I fought, said Xia Tianfan indifferently. He then rose up in the air, wanting to leave. The Wen clan didn't try to prevent him from leaving. When Tiangu had been defeated and he would benefit from it. He's now going to challenge Si Kong Shao, thought the crowd. Xia Tianfan was so strong, so he probably wanted to defeat Si Kong Shao, who was also one of the 10 strongest young cultivators of his generation. I hadn't thought that when Tiangu would be defeated in one punch, let alone coughing up blood. Only Mo Peng and Kong Ming could defeat him amongst the 10 strongest young cultivators of the previous generation, and Lin Feng. Thought some people. They were wondering where those geniuses were now. They had disappeared for 3 years. How strong had they become? The crowd slowly dispersed, and when Tiangu also went back to the Wen clan. When Ao Shui was there too, and he nodded at Wen Tiangu after the fight. Brothers, said someone. When Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui recognized the voice and turned around to see Lin Feng. Lin Feng. When Ao Shui smiled in a resplendent way. He was happy to see Lin Feng after such a long time. You must think I'm worthless and ridiculous, said Wen Tiangu. Losing a battle didn't make him sad or angry. He was an extraordinary cultivator all the same, but still he apologized to Lin Feng. Brother, losing is normal sometimes. Becoming stronger and learning from one's defeats is the most important thing, said Lin Feng politely. But you've never lost a battle, said Wen Tiangu smiling. Qi Qianxing banished me, and I almost died. Lin Feng reminded him while shaking his head. That was an exception, said Wen Tiangu smiling. Come to the Wen clan, let's have something to eat and drink. Tian Tai and the Wen clan were allies now, so Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui were Lin Feng's friends. And now that everybody knew how strong Lin Feng was, everybody wanted to be friends with him. I came to ask for something though. Please tell me. Can I use the Tian Su teleportation portal? I need to go back to Shuiyu, said Lin Feng honestly. He was convinced the Wen clan wasn't going to refuse his request. Maybe he'd have to pay something though. Of course you can. It's no problem at all, said Wen Tiangu smiling happily. But you should have a drink and something to eat with us then. I can't, I'm in a hurry. I'll come back and take you up on your offer though, if you don't mind. When Tiangu remained silent, he was about to say something when Ao Shui said, Lin Feng, if you want to go home and see your family, I'll come back with you. My clan has a special portal in Shuiyu, so if I come with you, it'll be easier for you to make it back. Lin Feng wanted to refuse, but after listening to Wen Ao Shui, he looked at him in a strange way. The Wen clan had cast a special teleportation spell in Shuiyu? There are still some things he didn't know about. I've lived in Shuiyu for so many years. Initially, I planned to go back with the clan, but now the whole thing is over. However, I really want to go back and see the Celestial Academy, said Wen Ao Shui, smiling gently. Lin Feng nodded, but he didn't say much. Then, when Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui brought Lin Feng to the Tian Su teleportation portal, there were many marks carved into the altar and it contained incredible empty space energies. When Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui knew how to activate it, and the guards didn't say anything when they approached. Lights dashed to the skies, surrounding Lin Feng and Wen Ao Shui before they disappeared. When Lin Feng and Wen Ao Shui reappeared again, they were in a mountain range. Yun Hai Mountain Range. The geographical coordinates were exact, but each time they would end up in different places. The portal wasn't extremely precise. Lin Feng lowered his head and was surprised to see that some of the Yun Hai Mountain Range, which had been destroyed, were starting to grow again. It seemed like those mountains weren't natural though, they looked too perfect, like the Yun Hai Mountain Range in the past. Good. Lin Feng was happy and smiled in a gentle way. The disciples of the Yun Hai sect had practiced cultivation and had created the entire territory of the Yun Hai sect again, just like in the past. There was the valley, the life and death battle stage, everything was there. Who are you and what are you doing in the territory of the Yun Hai sect? Shouted a young man, rising in the air using pure chi to fly. That young man looked a bit scared because those two people weren't even using pure chi to fly. That meant they had broken through to the Tian Chi layer already. We're just having a walk, said Lin Feng smiling. That young man was only a cultivator of the second Xian Chi layer. Lin Feng continued walking and then flew above the valley. He looked at the people who were practicing cultivation, and those were fighting in the life and death battle stage. The Yun Hai sect had become a lot stronger than when he was a disciple. After all, the Yun Hai sect was now the strongest sect of the country. The Emperor of Shuiyu supported it, the legendary Lin Feng. Each year, many young men came to join the Yun Hai sect. They first of them became external disciples. Some people even came from abroad because it was said that Lin Feng had left incredible treasures there, many terrifying skills and techniques as well as holy weapons. That young man didn't dare stop Lin Feng. He immediately flew away and to inform the elders of the sect that two terrifying cultivators had arrived and that they looked dangerous. Lin Feng was in the sky above the life and death battle stage and laughed. I've fought some people on there as well. How do you feel? Nostalgic? It must feel strange, said Wen Ao Shui smiling. It feels strange indeed, said Lin Feng. He recalled things from the past, both good and bad. Lin Feng was already a terrifying cultivator now, but he could still recall how weak he was back then. Mr. Kong and Mr. Lin, two people were flying over. These two elders arrived and immediately noticed the two young men floating in the sky. They looked calm but enigmatic. It seemed that they had gone through a lot. Chapter 1441 The Yun Hai sect's new face now. The Yun Hai sect could be called the new Yun Hai sect. There weren't many old men, but Lin Feng had saved a few people back then, including the Chi Xie soldiers. Those elders were amazed after seeing Lin Feng and Wen Ao Shui. They were older than most of the people in the Yun Hai sect, but they looked incredible. They seemed very experienced and mature, especially the one who looked clean and manly. Lin Feng inspected them. Those two elders were high-level Xian cultivators. That wasn't bad considering what the Yunhai sect used to be. The two elders sensed that Lin Feng was inspected them, but they felt powerless. Just how strong were those young men? Mr. Kong remembered a statue he had seen in Yangzhou City. He shivered. Are you Lin Feng? Lin Feng, the other elder shivered. Lin Feng, the legendary cultivator, could easily kill cultivators of the Zunqi layer. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. The two elders breathed even faster. They were nervous. Then the two old men bowed respectfully. Even though the patriarch of the Yunhai sect wasn't Lin Feng, he was the one who had made it revive and was still considered as the patriarch by some. Children, Patriarch Lin Feng came back to see you, shouted Mr. Kong with his hands around his mouth. Receiving Lin Feng as a visitor was an honor to them. Lin Feng was surprised but smiled in a calm and serene way. He hadn't thought his visit was anything special, but for the members of the sect it was different though. He remembered when he only had the strength of the Lingqi layer or the Shenqi layer and saw cultivators of the Zunqi layer, he had admired them then as well. Zun cultivators used to be legendary back then. Lin Feng. Patriarch Lin Feng. The valley suddenly became silent. The disciples who were practicing cultivation opened their eyes and looked at Lin Feng in the distance. That handsome young man was Patriarch Lin Feng. I've heard that he can easily kill Zun cultivators. Besides, he has a terrifying army that nobody can defeat. Even the best Zun cultivators bow before Patriarch Lin Feng. Legends say that he has a godly sword and that nobody can defeat him. Gossip quickly passed from mouth to mouth. Those were all the legends about Lin Feng. Everybody knew about him in Shuiyu. They now also knew many things people used to be unaware of in the past, such that after the Zunqi layer, cultivators became emperors or even great emperors. Patriarch Lin Feng. Many people shouted at the same time. Their voices resonated in the valley and echoed both far and wide. Many silhouettes flickered over as if something great was happening. Many people who were far away in the distance realized that something was going on, so there was only one possibility: Patriarch Lin Feng had come back. How dignified, thought Wen Ao Shui, who was calmly standing behind Lin Feng. He smiled happily. He felt determined after hearing all those people. Lin Feng hadn't realized how popular he was until then. They looked at him as if he were a hero. He remembered when he was down there himself and had just started practicing sword cultivation. Some silhouettes rose up in the air towards him. Lin Feng smiled thinly. His robe and hair were fluttering in the wind majestically. Many young women looked at him with admiration. He was so handsome. "Brother!" shouted a loud voice. Lin Feng turned around and smiled. "Brother, you're here." Two people came towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng jumped forwards and hugged them. He put his hands on their shoulders and said, "Han Man, Pajun, you finally came back. We came back when you had just left. Uncle Lin told us to rebuild the Yunhai mountain range, so we did all that we could. It took us 3 years to do it though," said Han Man and Pajun. They weren't wearing masks anymore, seeing how their slave marks had disappeared. "Not bad," said Lin Feng, bumping fists with them. Han Man and Pajun had rebuilt the Yunhai mountain range. That's why it looked so magnificent again. It was a present for Lin Feng. Patriarch Han Man and Master Pajun are friends with Patriarch Lin Feng. They even called him brother, thought many people, smiling. Seeing them act like brothers made them think that someday they'd become strong cultivators too, and that they'd also have extremely strong friends whom they'd call brother. "We did all we could. Uncle Lin told us you left some incredible resources and that you hoped the Yunhai sect would be rebuilt. That was our dream, so we're happy we did it," said Han Man, smiling. He then said, "Brother Lin, look at the disciples. They look very motivated, don't they?" "They do," said Lin Feng, nodding and smiling. "Disciples of the Yunhai sect, tell Patriarch Lin Feng where you are," shouted Han Man. "Yunhai sect," shouted everyone. They were so loud that they surprised the animals in the distant mountains. They were ordinary cultivators, but altogether, their voices resonated loudly. "Brother Lin, since you came back, you should write something here." It's your Yun Hai sect after all, said Han Man smiling. He sounded very enthusiastic. Write something? Lin Feng smiled wryly. Just a few words, said Pajun. All right. Lin Feng nodded and jumped into the valley, landing in front of a wall. The crowd looked at Lin Feng, seemingly impatient. Lin Feng carved some words with his finger on the wall. His finger was as sharp as a sword. He continued writing, and the sword energies in his finger alone made people shiver. A few words from Patriarch Lin Feng was a priceless gift in their eyes. Patriarch Lin Feng is writing the word Yun, thought the crowd. The second word was Hai. The third word was sect. Those words were each filled with a substantial amount of sword qi. Go! Shouted Lin Feng. The three words were deeply carved in the wall. They possessed immortal energy so that they would never disappear. Yun Hai sect, whispered the crowd. They were so happy. Those words had been written by their patriarch himself. Chapter 1442. Wu Shang. After carving those few words, Lin Feng flew back to the top of the valley. Everybody was still staring at the words Lin Feng had written. Those words would motivate many future sword cultivators. Patriarch Lin Feng didn't have a sword spirit, but his sword energies were terrifying. I'll practice sword cultivation from now on. Those words are even more precious than sword skills, thought many people enthusiastically. Lin Feng looked at the young cultivators, noting their enthusiasm. Lin Feng sighed. He remembered Patriarch Nan Gong and the protectors. He missed them. Let's go, said Lin Feng to his friends using telepathy. Then, they flew away, leaving the crowd to think about a lot of things. Patriarch Lin Feng will definitely come back to see us again someday, thought the young women. They were sad to see him leave. Lin Feng soon arrived in a vast and desolate area. He looked around and saw that the small world was well sealed. He was happy that Yen Di had done things properly. Han Man, I don't know where the entrance is. Can you take me there? Lin Feng asked Han Man using telepathy. He hadn't been there for 3 years, so he didn't know how his father had organized things. All right, Uncle Lin listened to you in that the area is sealed. Yangzhou City itself is the entrance. Uncle Lin still lives in Yangzhou City, but Yangzhou City and the small worlds are protected by the same deployment spell. Few are allowed to go there, said Han Man using telepathy. He couldn't help but glance at Wen Ao Shui while he was talking. After all, Yen Di had protected those small worlds so that only those who were extremely close to Lin Feng's family could know their secrets. Lin Feng, I'm going to the former Imperial City. The One Clan's teleportation spell is at the Celestial Academy, so when you're done here, just come and find me there. Then we'll go back to Ba Huang together, said Wen Ao Shui. Lin Feng nodded and said, Thank you, Ao Shui. Don't act so polite to me. Offer my greetings to Exen Yi when you see her. Then when Ao Shui turned around, waved and left looking confident and at ease. Lin Feng watched when Ao Shui leave. Then, his two friends and he jumped onto his gigantic sword and flew to Yangzhou City. In a very short time, they arrived and were greeted by the deployment spell. Brother Lin, I can't believe Yangzhou City has become so incredible, said Han Man smiling. He hadn't seen Yangzhou City in a long time. Han Man and Pajun had already broken through to the Tianqi layer, but now it was normal to see cultivators of the Tianqi layer in Yangzhou City. Zun cultivators were still rare though. Shuiyu has the strength of a low-level empire now. It's also the strongest state in the Shuiyu region. Said Pajun, Yangzhou City is the strongest city in the Shuiyu region, thought Lin Feng. He felt proud. There were cultivators of the Xianqi layer everywhere. Even Tian-level cultivators were normal. That was amazing. Yangzhou City had become strong. After a short time, they arrived at the palace. Lin Feng immediately disappeared and moved through the corridors with incredible speed. He was back, so he wanted to rest for a short while, see his friends and family, then leave again. A pavilion, located in a calm and peaceful courtyard, Yu Menghe was playing with a 2-year-old child. Even though she was growing old, she was still strong and quite attractive. Wu Shang, come here, said Lin Hai, smiling at the child. The little boy smiled and looked at Yu Menghe, then he looked at Lin Hai. He was extremely cute. Mother, said the baby crawling towards Yu Menghe. Lin Hai smiled wryly. Yu Menghe smiled. She looked like a caring and loving mother as she took the child in her arms. Wushang, be a good boy. When you grow up, you'll be as strong as your big brother. You'll be a hero, said Yu Menghe, tickling the little boy's nose and smiling. Where's my brother? Asked the little boy. Because of the pure qi formed the earth and sky, children were smart in the cultivation world and developed faster. Lin Wushang could already speak and understood a lot of things even though he was only 2 years old. FWBBU. A strong wind started blowing, surprising Yu Menghe. Suddenly, someone appeared in front of her. First, she was startled, then a warm and gentle expression appeared on her face. Lin Feng looked at the little boy and the little boy looked back at him. Brother, whispered the little boy. He was amazed. Then, he turned his head to Yu Menghe as if he had been asking for her confirmation. You're very smart, Wushang, said Yu Menghe. She blushed unknowingly though. Brother, hug, said the little boy. He looked to be fascinated with Lin Feng. Yu Menghe gave Wushang to Lin Feng. It was the first time Lin Feng saw Wushang, so he felt touched. Wushang, said Lin Feng in a gentle way. He hadn't thought he would have a brother after those 3 years. But that was a good surprise. Maybe Yu Menghe and Lin Hai had decided to have a child because Lin Feng was never there. Brother, said Lin Wushang. He was getting used to saying the word, brother. He smiled. He was so cute. I have a little brother, thought Lin Feng smiling. Mom, Dad, thank you. You silly boy. Why thank us? Said Yu Menghe, wiping away her tears with her sleeve. Thank you for giving birth to such a cute and good little brother, said Lin Feng smiling. He raised Wushang up and said loudly, My brother, Lin Wushang, you'll become a hero someday. Hi. Lin Wushang smiled fatuously. Right, Wushang? You're 2 years old now and it's the first time I've seen you. I'm sorry about that, but I have a gift for you, said Lin Feng. He looked happy and excited. Yu Menghe and Lin Feng glanced at each other though. Lin Feng looked a bit strange compared to before, but they were still happy to see him. Lin Feng put Wushang on the ground and took out a ring. In a flash, a light appeared, and a cosmic strength flooded out. Yu Menghe and Lin Hai started suffocating. What a terrifying item! There were 9 fate seeds on the ground. Lin Feng had obtained 5 alone and had killed some people to get the other 4. Now, he had 9 in total. The fate seeds were of different colors. One was yellow like the ground, one was green like trees, one was red like fire, and so on. It was very beautiful. Everybody in Shuiyu raised their heads and saw those lights in the sky. Lin Feng, said Yu Menghe. She was astonished. Lin Feng took Wushang in his arms and smiled. Wushang, look at them. Which stone do you want? You can only have one. Lin Feng wanted Wushang to choose the most suitable for himself. Wushang could be exposed to cosmic energies for the rest of his life. That would be great for his future. Brother, I want that one, said Wushang, pointing at the earth fate seed. All right, it's for you, said Lin Feng, taking the others back and giving the small seed to Wushang. Chapter 1443. Astonishing. Back in the ancient battlefield of the Huang Sea, so many things seemed alive because of those fate seeds. Lin Wushang had chosen the earth fate seed, so he would have an advanced knowledge of earth cultivation in the future. Thank you, brother, said Lin Wushang. He looked extremely cute as he put his hand on Lin Feng's face, making everybody laugh. Wushang, take a ring. What your brother offered you just now is an incredible gift, so don't take it out carelessly, said Yu Menghe. She looked at Lin Feng and said, Little Lin Feng, what did you give him? A fate seed. It contains cosmic strength. It's useful for a cultivator who wants to break through to the Huang Qi layer. Wushang will be exposed to cosmic energies all the time from now on, so it'll be very beneficial for him, explained Lin Feng. Yu Menghe and Lin Hai's mouths twitched. Cosmic energy? Huang Qi layer? They had never heard of those things before. They looked at Lin Feng with love. Their son was so amazing. He was definitely going to become an emperor. Wushang would probably become very strong too. Bzz. 2 silhouettes appeared. Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao, both cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Lin Feng frowned. Young master. Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao bowed after they saw that it was Lin Feng. You're not very polite, said Lin Feng indifferently and coldly. Young master, we saw the lights so we were worried, explained Jianling Shao after he saw Lin Feng was angry. You want to see what kind of treasure that was, right? Said Lin Feng coldly. Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao protected Shuiyu, so they weren't supposed to be impolite and hurry over when they saw treasures. They didn't even greet him properly. Little Lin Feng, forget about it, said Lin Hai. He knew Lin Feng could be impulsive, but he knew how strong those two cultivators were. They were cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. They didn't know why Lin Feng had become their young master, but Lin Feng couldn't do anything to them. How could I? Said Lin Feng. He jumped forwards and released terrifying destructive energies which quickly surrounded Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao. Die! Shouted Lin Feng while releasing death qi as well. Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao started shaking. Instantly, their bodies were filled with death qi. They suddenly looked terrifying. Were they going to die? They had never felt that way before. Lin Feng could actually kill them. Forgive us, young master, shouted the two of them, kneeling down. They realized they had made a mistake. They used to respect Lin Feng because he was their ancestor's sword, but now he had become strong enough to kill them even. Next time, I won't be merciful, said Lin Feng, recalling his death energies. The two cultivators stood up again, but they were soaked in sweat. Thank you, young master, said the two, lowering their heads. Do what you must do, and you'll see Jiang rise again. You'll also get your fair share, said Lin Feng. He suddenly sounded gentler. The two nodded back to him. You can leave now, said Lin Feng. Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao immediately left. They didn't calm down for a long time after that. Their young master had become terrifyingly strong. He'd soon become an emperor and Jiang would rise. Phew, Lin Hai took a deep breath. Little Lin Feng had become terrifyingly strong in those 3-4 years he had been gone. Even the two strong cultivators from Jiang feared him now. Lin Feng had done that on purpose. When he wasn't in Shuiyu, Jianling Kong and Jianling Shao were the two strongest cultivators in the territory. If they didn't obey him, they could destroy everything he had built. They weren't supposed to come when they saw the cosmic energies, and when he wasn't there, his parents shouldn't have to be polite to them. Therefore, Lin Feng had to teach them a lesson and prove to them that he was strong enough to punish them if they went against him. Brother is so strong, said Lin Wushang, pulling on Yu Menghe's hand. Of course, he's the strongest. When you grow up, you'll also be a peerless cultivator, then nobody will dare annoy your dad and I again, said Yu Menghe while caressing Wushang's face and smiling. Yes, I'll be like my brother when I grow up and I won't let anyone annoy you, said Lin Wushang. He looked so cute. Wushang, said a voice at that moment. Wushang raised his head and shouted, Sister. You're still hiding, said Xiaoya, grabbing Wushang and hugging him. Then she threw him up in the air and caught him again. Brother, said Wushang in the air. Lin Feng shrugged. That girl was interesting. Xiaoya turned around and saw Lin Feng. She had become even more beautiful. Your brother didn't come to see me because he wanted to play with you, said Xiaoya to Wushang, giggling, which almost made Wushang cry. Lin Hai and Yu Menghe glanced at each other and smiled. Xiaoya was almost like their own child. Lin Feng walked forwards and Xiaoya stopped what she was doing to look at him. I haven't seen you for such a long time. I'm here now, said Lin Feng, pinching her cheek. Wushang, who was in her arms, slapped her face. Xiaoya looked angry. All right, I'm sorry, said Lin Feng in a gentle way. That's almost enough, said Xiaoya jokingly. She grabbed Lin Feng's hand and said, Bro, Xen Yi and Fei Fei miss you too. Let's go and see them. Little Lin Feng, you and Xiaoya can go, said Yu Menghe, taking Wushang from them. All right, said Lin Feng, nodding. He pinched Wushang's cheek and said, I'll come back to see you soon. All right, said Wushang, nodding. Then, Lin Feng and Xiaoya left. Elsewhere in the imperial palace of Shuiyu, there was a special portal in the deployment spell which protected the city and the small worlds. Only members of the family and their close ones could use it. It was one of the most important locations in the city, so very few people knew about it. Lin Feng and Xiaoya entered the empty space of the deployment spell and immediately landed in Empress Xi's small world. That's where Xan Yi and Lu Fei lived. Lin Feng and Xiaoya flew over to them in a short time. Xan Yi and Lu Fei already knew Lin Feng was there because they had heard some sounds before seeing him. There were many trees in the small world, among everything else which made that world so beautiful. Lin Feng smiled at them and hugged them. Lu Fei and Xan Yi put their heads on his shoulders, but said nothing, they just enjoyed that moment. Hi hi. Xiaoya giggled. She felt happy for them. Chapter 1444. Lu Fei. They enjoyed that peaceful moment for a short time. Lin Hai and Yu Meng He soon came and brought Wushang there. Yu Meng He was happy when she saw Lu Fei and Xan Yi in Lin Feng's arms. Xan Yi, my big sister, said Wushang, running towards Xan Yi. Xiaoya liked to tease Wushang, but Xan Yi always praised him, so he preferred Xan Yi. You silly boy, she's your sister-in-law, said Xiaoya giggling. I prefer big sister, it sounds more friendly, said Xan Yi while caressing the child's head. Yu Meng He was so happy, what a beautiful family. Yu Meng He walked to Lin Feng and whispered, why didn't you bring Meng Qing, is she alright? Yu Meng He loved Meng Qing as her daughter-in-law. She was Lin Feng's first woman, and she was pure and celestial. Mom, I just came back for a few days, whispered Lin Feng. Yu Meng He seemed disappointed. Xan Yi pinched Lin Feng. Only a few days? Lin Feng smiled wryly. There were great changes happening in Ba Huang, so he couldn't spend too much time in Shuiyu. Mom, don't worry, I have broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer, and I'll soon become a cultivation emperor. When the time comes, I'll create my own small world and take you with me in there, said Lin Feng, cheering up his mother. She had no choice but to nod. Be careful when you're abroad and take good care of Meng Qing. I won't let you off if something happens to her. Don't worry, said Lin Feng smiling. Brother, Xan Yi always says Meng Qing is the most beautiful girl in the world. Why didn't you bring her here? I want to see her, said Wushang. Lin Feng laughed and said, when you grow up, you'll meet her. Alright, it's a promise, said Wushang giggling. Wushang is so cute. I wish I had a child too, said Xan Yi smiling. Lin Feng caressed her cheeks and smiled. Don't be impatient, when I become a cultivation emperor, my blood will be better. Then, you'll all give birth to my children. You think you're going to make us all pregnant and get a bunch of children? Said Xan Yi, grinding her teeth shyly. Lu Fei turned red. Even though Lin Feng had told her she was his woman, it wasn't that official, so she blushed when she heard him. Lin Feng looked at Lu Fei. She looked stunning and charming in her red skirt. Have you gotten used to living here? Asked Lin Feng to Lu Fei. By now, her face was almost as red as her dress. I'm happy to live with your parents and Xan Yi, said Lu Fei. She wasn't as impulsive as in the past. She sounded warm and gentle now. That's good. I didn't want to make you angry a moment before, said Lin Feng. What are you talking about? Said Lu Fei, smiling and blushing. She still had her head resting on Lin Feng's shoulder. Mom, Dad, I should take Wushang out to play. Xan Yi looked at Lin Feng and Lu Fei, then she smiled in a gentle way. All right, said Yu Meng He. She knew what Xan Yi meant, so they all left. I'll go play with Xan Yi and Wushang as well, said Xiaoya while smiling and looking at Wushang. He looked at Xiaoya as if she was evil because she always teased him. Lu Fei blushed even more. Xan Yi, said Lu Fei. She looked impatient though, she wanted to be Lin Feng's woman officially. Xan Yi smiled at Lu Fei and saw Yi Shui and Yun Shi in the distance. The two girls lived with Xan Yi, so they naturally understood why Xan Yi was looking at them as they left. The atmosphere became very calm. Lin Feng and Lu Fei were alone now. Lu Fei's heart was pounding, she was feeling extremely shy. You're so beautiful, we should do something, said Lin Feng smiling. He knew Lu Fei was feeling nervous. I don't want to, said Lu Fei in a weak voice. Her fingers felt extremely rigid. Are you sure? Said Lin Feng, putting his hand on her chin. She didn't know what to say. She was overwhelmingly nervous. Lin Feng had a smile, yet not a smile on his face. She pushed him away and said, You bastard. Ha! Lin Feng laughed. He grabbed her hand and pulled her in closer. You've always thought I was a bastard. Lin Feng kissed her on the lips and put his hands around her. Then, he dragged her down to lie down on the grass. Lu Fei relaxed and let herself go. Her heart was pounding as Lin Feng kissed her passionately and put his hand on her breasts. He slowly reached his hands up inside her skirt, resting it on her thighs. Tnch. When Lin Feng put his hand on her breasts and caressed them, Lu Fei moaned. She felt like she was going to faint, she felt so weak. What a bastard! Lin Feng was gently caressing her, making her all red. She closed her eyes and submitted herself to him. Lin Feng was burning. After having made love with Yiren Lei back then, he had become extremely perverted. He loved beautiful women even more nowadays. He looked at her face while making love to her and saw that she was enjoying it a lot. She was biting her lips as he continued taking off her clothes. Her breasts were extremely beautiful. They looked silky white, and her nipples were red and erect. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with fiery passion. Lu Fei put her hands around Lin Feng. She had no strength anymore. It was an amazing feeling. Lin Feng raised her up and held her. They were making love and he was walking at the same time. How strange. Very quickly, they arrived in her room. He set her down on the bed and undressed her completely. Lu Fei put her head under the blanket for she didn't dare look. Fei Fei, you're mine, said Lin Feng, biting and licking her lips. Lu Fei had the sensation she was going to faint. She couldn't convince herself to look at his face. It was her first time having intercourse, so it was painful, but at the same time it was incredibly pleasant. She was finally Lin Feng's woman, officially. She belonged to him. Lin Feng, I'm yours, said Lu Fei as she opened her eyes and looked at him. He put his hands on her breasts again and played with them. She was so soft and so beautiful. Lin Feng continued making love to her for hours. How wonderful! Chapter 1445. Beautiful times. For a long time afterwards, that room would still smell like Lu Fei and Lin Feng. Lu Fei was resting on the bed, she was exhausted, and she was in pain, but she was happy. She was covered with sweat and was breathing deeply. Her breasts continued bobbing up and down. Fei Fei, you're so beautiful, said Lin Feng, watching her milky white breasts. Outside, Xen Yi and Xiaoya had came back already. Their hearts were pounding when they saw nobody was there, were they? Xiaoya, let's sit down here, said Xen Yi, recalling when she had been deflowered by Lin Feng. Xiaoya sat down, her eyes were twinkling and she nodded. She felt awkward, as if she was still innocent herself. Xen Yi looked at Xiaoya and smiled. Xiaoya, you're beautiful too. You should also find a man. Xen Yi, I don't want to, said Xiaoya, blushing. Cough, cough. Lu Fei and Lin Feng came out. Lu Fei's hair was messy, and her face was red. She didn't dare look at Xiaoya and Xen Yi in the face. Xen Yi smiled in a gentle way. Fei Fei had been waiting for that for such a long time. Lu Fei, are you all right? You're so red, said Xiaoya while running to Lu Fei and grabbing her hand. Lu Fei was speechless. She was still sweating intensely. She feared that she might even faint. Fei Fei, sister, your dress is torn apart and all wrinkled, said Xiaoya. Lu Fei's heart felt like it was going to explode from embarrassment. Cough, cough. Lin Feng coughed. He was shy too. My little Xiaoya, you're so beautiful, you need a man, said Lin Feng, pinching her cheeks. She pushed his hands away and put her hands on his neck, saying, I don't want to. I want to stay with you and my sisters forever. You still have to take me to my grandfather. All right, in 1 year, I'm going to go to the holy city. If it's safe then, I'll take you there, said Lin Feng, still pinching her cheeks. Xiaoya's eyes twinkled. She smiled and said, when you go, please be careful. There are many strong cultivators in the holy city. Thank you for warning me, said Lin Feng. He knew he had to be careful if he went to the holy city. All right, I'm going to see Wushang and play with him some more, said Xiaoya, smiling as she ran away. Xen Yi smiled wryly. Poor Wushang, Xiaoya was going to tease him again. Lin Feng, go to the hot springs and take a bathe. You're covered with sweat, said Xen Yi, smiling. Fei Fei, go with him, said Xen Yi, smiling at Lu Fei. Ah. When Xingyi said that, Lin Feng took Xingyi in his arms and lifted her up. Then they started running towards the hot springs. Xingyi, you're going to bathe with us, said Lin Feng smiling. Xingyi blushed. The three of them were then in the hot springs, laughing and talking. They were more open-minded now that Lin Feng and Lu Fei had made love. Xingyi, Yishui and Yun Shi, why don't you find men for them? The Qixia soldiers are outstanding men, you should check if some of them are a good match, said Lin Feng as his hands roamed over her. They don't want to and it's your fault. Yun Shi is innocent, you took her back and saved her life after all. She'd never abandon you. Yishui is like a sister to me, she would never leave me either. She often talks about you, how you saved her from slavery, said Xingyi in a gentle voice. Lin Feng was surprised, but he understood though. Yun Shi was innocent and Yishui was smart. When he was there, they were always silent. They always looked at him from far away and smiled. They also wanted to be close to him, but they respected him. Maybe if you take them out often, they'll meet a man they like, said Lin Feng smiling and hugging Xingyi. They changed their clothes and went to where Xiaoya and Wu Shang were playing. Wu Shang looked at Lin Feng, stuck his tongue out and shouted, "Brother!" Ha! Xingyi and Lu Fei laughed at Wu Shang's expression. Lin Feng took Wu Shang in his arms. Too bad he was too small, Lin Feng couldn't transmit any of his knowledge to him with his godly awareness. He had to break through to the Tianqi layer first, and then Lin Feng would transmit imperial scriptures to him. Yishui, go and find my parents, Han Man and Pajun. They must all be in the palace. We'll have dinner together, said Lin Feng to Yishui who was behind. Understood, master, said Yishui nodding. Then Yun Shi and Yishui ran away. No rush, said Lin Feng shaking his head and smiling. It's all right, shouted Yishui in the distance. After a short time, Lin Feng, his parents, Han Man and Pajun were all together outside, chatting, drinking and laughing. Lin Feng took out some strong alcohol, which he shared with Han Man and Pajun who he hadn't seen for such a long time. They had to get drunk together. Little Lin Feng, that one is for you my son, said Lin Hai raising his glass and cheering with his son. He smiled and shouted back, Dad. Little Lin Feng, you've been through a lot abroad. Even though I don't understand everything, I'm happy we can be together today and enjoy ourselves. I wish you much more success, and I hope you'll reign over the entire continent someday, but most importantly, take care of yourself, said Lin Hai. Yu Meng he also raised a glass and said, Little Lin Feng, you're my little treasure. I also wish you the best, take care of yourself, said Wu Shang grabbing a glass on the table and raising it. Everybody then laughed together. I will, replied Lin Feng. Life was so beautiful sometimes. They all drank, even Wu Shang drank a sip of the strong alcohol, but it burnt his throat and caused him to cry. His face turned all red and everybody laughed loudly. He was only 2 years old and was already drinking. Lin Hai tapped Wu Shang's head and smiled. When Lin Feng was small, he wasn't so lucky. He had a very difficult life because I wasn't very strong. You can be happy and grateful to have such an incredible brother. Wu Shang is lucky, said Yu Meng he happily and gently. Everybody looked at Wu Shang. Indeed, he was lucky. Not many people would dare offend him in the entire Shuiyu region in the future. Everybody laughed, drank, and ate for 2 more hours. After that, Lin Hai and Yu Meng he left with Wu Shang. Han Man and Pajun also went back to the Yunhai sect. Lin Feng said to Yishui, Yishui, go to Jian Ling Kong and Jian Ling Shao, tell them to go to Black Feather and destroy the Tiansha sect. Then, give my sword to Jian Ling Shao and tell him to go to the Ganyu region. Tell him to take my sword to the Tianqi Empire, to the top of the Tianqi snowy peaks. Tell him to ask the current leader of the Tianji Peak to organize the Great Sect meeting in Asoka Mountain. Roger, master, said Yishui, and then she left with Lin Feng's Tianji sword. Lin Feng smiled thinly. Chapter 1446. Meeting in Asoka. After everybody left, things became calm again. Lin Feng, Xingyi and Lu Fei were alone together again. Lin Feng raised his head and smiled looking at the moon. Yendi, that guy is mysterious. From outside we can't see the small worlds, but from inside we still can see the moon and the sun. It's beautiful, said Xinyi, who was leaning against him. The moon is beautiful, just like you, said Lin Feng. Xinyi smiled thinly. You're even more glib-tongued. Lu Fei is more beautiful than me. It depends from which perspective, said Lin Feng, laughing. Xinyi and Lu Fei turned red and nudged his shoulder. Ha, you're both beautiful. You look sophisticated and elegant, whereas Fei Fei is extremely sexy, said Lin Feng, smiling and hugging his girls. You're just lucky to have us, said Xinyi. Should we all sleep together tonight? Said Lin Feng. You can stay with Fei Fei. Nah, he stayed with me already. He should stay with you, said Lu Fei. Lin Feng laughed and said, You're so complicated, let's just sleep together. Stop it. Lin Feng, you're so perverted, said the two girls. I can take care of both of you, said Lin Feng, laughing. He looked at Lu Fei and said, Fei Fei, tomorrow evening, I'll stay with you. Of course, if you want to, you can also join us tonight. Bastard, shouted Lu Fei furiously. Lu Fei then left with Xinyi. In a small cabin, Xinyi took off her clothes and lied down on the bed next to Lin Feng. He put his hands around her and kissed her lips. What a perfect night for Lin Feng and Xinyi. However, for Lu Fei, it was a bit different. She felt uncomfortable. She kept recalling that moment when they were making love before. She was wondering what Lin Feng and Xinyi were doing. She was wondering if they were making love too. When she realized what she was thinking about, she blushed shyly. Lin Feng spent some days in the small world, and they were all amazing days. He didn't practice cultivation, he just focused on his friends and family members. He hadn't come back for 3 years, so he played a lot with Wushang. Han Man and Pajun ate and drank with him every day. They also talked about cultivation. Lin Feng even taught them some things. Sometimes, they also talked about the Yunhai sect. Lin Feng spent his nights either with Xinyi or with Lu Fei. He enjoyed himself a lot, making love with them every night. What a wonderful life. He felt grateful, and the girls also enjoyed his company too. They knew he was going to leave soon, and they didn't know when he would come back. Yi Shui and Yun Shi even chatted with Lin Feng sometimes. Xiao Ya also teased him a lot. No wonder that Wushang feared her. Lin Feng was happy to see Xiao Ya growing up. She slowly forgot about her brother's death and missed her grandfather even less than before. The imperial palace was like her home. Finally, Lin Feng had to leave for Ganyu. At that moment, Jian Ling Kong came back from Black Feather. He had destroyed the Tian Sha sect. In the Ahsoka Valley, the fire had gradually disappeared after Lin Feng used a spell to cheat them and steal their fire. He had also killed many strong cultivators. Then, he disappeared, and powerful people had wanted to destroy Tian Chi, but it was protected by a powerful spell. After that battle, Tian Chi had risen and become stronger. Lin Feng had attacked the patriarch of the Xiao Yao sect, who then left Ganyu and chased him to Ba Huang. In the end, he came back with some strong cultivators and recreated the Xiao Yao sect. Shen Gong had been destroyed because the strong cultivators from Tian Chi had killed them. They had recreated Shen Gong afterwards, but it was less powerful than the Xiao Yao sect. The East Sea Dragon Palace and Jade Heaven were still there, and they were still powerful but less than Tian Chi, since 2 extremely strong cultivators had left Tian Chi. The other leaders of Ganyu had started taking cultivation seriously again. Now, Tian Chi wanted to organize the Great Sect meeting where the all-young disciples of Ganyu were going to compete. Tian Chi had organized the meeting in Ahsoka. The previous Great Sect meeting had also taken place there. Ahsoka's soil was arid after everything had burnt from the void fire. The battle stage was still there, so it'd make a perfect spot to host the competition. There were many people from different groups around the battle stage. Tian Chi, the Xiao Yao sect, Jade Heaven, the East Sea Dragon Palace, Shen Gong, the 9 Cloud Sword sect, the Necropolis sect, and so on. The patriarch of the Xiao Yao sect had lost an arm and still hadn't recovered it. Spells imbued with holy marks should not be taken lightly. All the leaders are here, thought the crowd, glancing around. The patriarch of the Xiao Yao sect, Duan Mu from Jade Heaven, Nye Qing, the King Dragon, and so on. Tian Xian's leader was there too. Those days, Tian Xian was the leading peak of Tian Chi after Tian Gz and Mr. Bai had left. Tianxian had been chosen to lead the 7 peaks since they had risen thanks to them and since Lin Feng had studied there. "Why did you decide to organize the meeting here?" said the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect in a cold way. They still wanted to destroy Tianqi, so Tianqi was insane to organize that meeting. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, the king dragon and the others glanced at each other. Tianqi wanted to bring about its own destruction this time. "Mister, is there a problem?" asked an old man to the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect using telepathy. "There's only one trivial cultivator of the 7th Zunqi layer here, will gain control over Ganyu this time," said the old man. He was a strong cultivator from the godly Xiaoyao sect, one of the more powerful groups from the Ba Huang province. He wanted to help the Xiaoyao sect become the rulers of Ganyu. "Just wait. Don't be impatient," said the leader of Tianxian to Jianling Xiao. "The Xiaoyao sect has cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer, 3 of them, and one of them has broken through to the 8th Zunqi layer. Just wait until our young master comes," said Jianling Xiao using telepathy. The godly Xiaoyao sect was helping, otherwise, the Xiaoyao sect couldn't possibly have cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Chapter 1447. Beginning of a massacre. The leader of Tianxian frowned. 3 cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer were on the side of the Xiaoyao sect? He had never seen such strong cultivators in his life. He was worried about how he could fight against them. "Let's start," said someone at that moment. The leader of Tianxian turned around and saw someone in the middle of the group from Tianqi. It was Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded and glanced around. "We'll see who the strongest young cultivators of Ganyu are. Those who want to try need to hop onto the battle stage." The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect groaned coldly. A young man behind him immediately ran towards the battle stage and jumped on it. He had broken through to the 6th Tianqi layer, so he was already quite strong in Ganyu. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect was surprised and looked at the cultivators from Tianxian. A young man from Jade Heaven also jumped onto the battle stage and released his qi. The young man of the East Sea Dragon Palace also released dragon qi. Then Shingong, the 9 Cloud Swords sect, Jade Heaven, and so on all had disciples who jumped onto the battle stage. Some disciples from other groups also joined in, but not many. Why had Tianqi organized the Great Sect meeting and why in Ahsoka? "What about Tianqi?" asked the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect coldly. "Here," said a silhouette who rising in the air. It was again Lin Feng. He had asked Jianling Xiao to organize the meeting so that all his enemies would gather together and now they couldn't escape him. Dealing with all those people at once was less troublesome. "East Sea Dragon Palace, Jade Heaven, you're here," thought Lin Feng. He had to approach this slowly. The East Sea Dragon Palace and Jade Heaven had made him suffer a lot in the past. Even Meng Qing had turned back into an animal because of them. He had turned into a demon, they had killed his teacher Yen Yu, Lu Tsonglan had also died because of those things. Lin Feng wanted to avenge those people he loved and respected. King Dragon, Duan Mu from Jade Heaven, Nye Qing from Shingong and the others were all greatly upset after they saw Lin Feng, especially the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect. Nye Qing and the others had almost fallen because of Lin Feng. Die. Terrifying energies moved towards Lin Feng. They have wanted to kill Lin Feng for a long time now, and surprisingly, he had come. "How dare you show your face?" Even though the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect was strong, after chasing Lin Feng to Ba Huang, he went to the godly Xiaoyao sect who then sent him back with some cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. The godly Xiaoyao sect wanted the Xiaoyao sect to rise again in Ganyu. Lin Feng glanced at the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect indifferently. He looked calm and serene. Then, he also looked at the leaders from the East Sea Dragon Palace and Jade Heaven. He was trying to see if there were any others he recognized. Quickly, he noticed 2 silhouettes. One was from Jade Heaven, the one who had saved Duan Wudao. The other one was from the East Sea Dragon Palace. He had also taken Duan Wuya. Those people looked quite weak, but back in the day, they were extremely strong for Lin Feng. "Do you recognize me?" asked Lin Feng to those 2 people. They were surprised, of course they recognized him. "Do you all want to die?" said Lin Feng, looking over them in a cold way. "You should think carefully first," said King Dragon aggressively. Lin Feng was being ridiculous. Without the deployment spell in Tianqi, they would have died long ago. Is that so? Come and kill me then, said Lin Feng smiling. You think hiding your cultivation level is enough? You may be strong, but after a few years, you can't be that strong either, said Duan Mu. Kill him, shouted Duan Mu. Kill him. Kill him. The patriarch of the Xiao Yao sect, Mie Qing, and the king dragon's silhouettes flickered. Who is he? Asked some people who didn't know Lin Feng. It's Lin Feng. He used to be a genius disciple in Tianqi in the past, and now he's back. Even though years had passed, many people still remembered Lin Feng. That's Lin Feng. No wonder. Some younger people had already heard about Lin Feng but had never seen him. The Necropolis sect and the Nine Cloud Swords sect are not showing any emotion. Do they want to kill Lin Feng too? Thought some people. Patriarch, the godly Xiao Yao sect is involved. What should we do now? Asked a strong cultivator from the Nine Cloud Swords sect to the patriarch using telepathy. The patriarch's eyes twinkled, then he looked at Lin Feng and said, lacerate him. After a short time, they joined the others. Lin Feng maybe had precious treasures. If they helped kill him, they'd get a share of his treasures. Then, they could let the Xiao Yao sect deal with Tianqi. If they both suffered heavy losses, that'd be more than okay with them. That was what the patriarch of the Nine Cloud Swords sect was thinking. You shouldn't have come back. The patriarch of the Necropolis sect had also made his decision. He knew that everybody wanted to kill Lin Feng, which also came down to fighting against Tianqi. Lin Feng looked at the patriarchs of the Nine Cloud Swords sect and the Necropolis sect, then he smiled indifferently and said, your decision is not the best one, I think. At that moment, millions of threads of qi moved towards Lin Feng. Even the patriarchs of the weakest sects were participating. Come, all of you, said Lin Feng turning around. He also looked at the disciples on the battle stage, a bunch of insects compared to Lin Feng. Boom! Die! All the disciples on the battle stage also decided to attack. Die, said Lin Feng. He released a terrifying death qi and all the cultivators who were attacking Lin Feng suddenly stopped. Their qi became gray and they looked desperate. Boom! A silhouette collapsed and then another. A large majority of them had died. Their vitality was nothing compared to Lin Feng's death qi. How weak. Next batch, but send stronger people this time, said Lin Feng glancing at the crowd. The massacre could start. Chapter 1448. Who is not going to die? How weak! The crowd was awestruck. They looked at all the corpses and their hearts started pounding. He had killed a bunch of people in the blink of an eye. Abstruse energy, it's a rare kind, death abstruse energy, thought a few Zun cultivators. They understood that Lin Feng was using abstruse energies, but that kind of abstruse energy was incredibly rare. Cursing strength, thought the old man next to the patriarch of the Xiao Yao sect. He was even more horrified. Surprisingly, that young man knew cursing energy. Unfortunately, the old man didn't know Lin Feng would be there, otherwise, he wouldn't have come. What about the patriarchs? Are you all cowards and weaklings? Said Lin Feng glancing at the patriarchs. Then they all released qi at him. This time, Zun cultivators were attacking. They were only cultivators of the second or third Zun qi layer though. You will die, yelled a strong cultivator from the East Sea Dragon Palace. His hand turned into golden claws which moved aimed for Lin Feng's viscera. Lin Feng didn't move again. Some metallic ringing sounded, and Lin Feng's clothes were torn apart, but the claws didn't affect him at all. That cultivator frowned. He continued bombarding Lin Feng's body, but his golden abstruse energy didn't work on Lin Feng. That attack could destroy a mountain, but they didn't even leave a paper cut on Lin Feng. How's that possible? He thought. Finally, some fire energies surrounded him. Then he gave a horrible shriek and he burned to death. The cultivators of the East Sea Dragon Palace are all trash, said Lin Feng, glancing at the patriarch of the East Sea Dragon Palace. Then he looked at the other Zun cultivators who were middle-aged men, the strongest of which was a cultivator of the third Zun Qi layer. What are you looking at? Why don't you attack? Said Lin Feng rather calmly. Those people then released their spirits and attacked at the same time. At that moment, Qi rolled in waves towards Lin Feng, distorting the space around him. Life drain, said Lin Feng, releasing more death qi. No matter how strong their spirits were, Lin Feng's death energies were terrifying. Those people stopped moving at the same time and collapsed. Their corpses fell from the sky and crashed onto the ground. Lin Feng hadn't even moved yet. They're all dead, just like before, thought the crowd. What is his cultivation level? Asked the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect while clenching his fists. Lin Feng's qi was unfathomable. Surprisingly, he managed to kill so many Zun cultivators already. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect looked at the old man who frowned, then he said to Lin Feng, I'm not sure, but he is using death-cursing energies to kill people. That alone makes him a difficult opponent. We must kill him anyways, said the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect. A bunch of trash, everybody come and attack me at once, said Lin Feng. He then pointed his finger at the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect and the others and added, the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, King Dragon from the East Sea Dragon Palace, Miaqing, Duan Mu, the patriarch of the Nine Cloud Sword, the Necropolis sect, all of you, come and attack. I don't mind. Who's going to kill him? The Xiaoyao sect was being humiliated by a young man, so the patriarch was even more furious. Boom! A silhouette jumped onto the stage. He moved very quickly using the Xiaoyao agility technique. Die! Shouted that cultivator. He punched the air in Lin Feng's direction, but then he realized Lin Feng wasn't there anymore. Is that the Xiaoyao agility technique you're trying to use? Asked Lin Feng. He was already far away in the distance and was glancing at that cultivator indifferently. Should I teach you how to use it properly? Lin Feng continued to mock him. Then he disappeared and illusions of him appeared everywhere. He looked confident and at ease. That was the real Xiaoyao agility technique. That person's face turned deathly pale. He couldn't even see Lin Feng anymore. You should give me a try too, said Lin Feng. At that moment, he had already killed the one who just tried to attack him and kicked his corpse towards the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect who caught it. He looked furious. How come Lin Feng was so strong? Boom, boom, boom. Many strong cultivators threw themselves at Lin Feng, and all of them belonged to different groups. The majority of those people were elders now. The elder of the Nine Cloud Swords sect was particularly strong. Terrifying energies rolled in waves towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was still standing there looking at those people. Then he said, Die! Slash, slash. His death qi flooded out and drained those people's lives out. No! Shouted the strong cultivator from the Nine Cloud Sword sect. He was still flying towards Lin Feng and holding his sword when the death qi overcame him. Collapse, said Lin Feng. Death lights emerged from his eyes and that cultivator suddenly looked petrified. His body turned gray, his life was draining out, then he collapsed and died. Die, said Lin Feng when he saw that some people were still standing. His voice contained death energies, enough of them to kill the few who were still standing. This time, the elders of all the sects were dead and had crashed onto the battle stage. Impossible, thought the crowd. How was that possible? Lin Feng could kill people just by saying, die? Brother Lin Feng is so strong. No wonder he's a genius from Tianqi. Thought some people from Tianqi, are you going to come or not? Asked Lin Feng to the patriarchs. They were afraid now. He had killed the elders of their groups, which meant he was probably as strong as them. A young man from Tianqi had become so strong, but how strong would he become in the future? The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, King Dragon from the East Sea, Miaqing, Duan Mu, if you're not coming to me, I'll come to you, said Lin Feng, slowly walking towards them. The people from the East Sea Dragon Palace released qi to oppress Lin Feng, but without much of an effect. Kill him, shouted many senior officials of the East Sea Dragon Palace. Then they threw themselves at Lin Feng. You're being too reckless, said Lin Feng, still walking normally and indifferently. The strong cultivators from the East Sea Dragon Palace looked like dragons as they lunged forwards. But Lin Feng didn't even need to move, he just had to walk and people around him died from of his death qi. He was terrifying. Chapter 1449. You Can Shake. When Lin Feng reached the edge of the battle stage, all the senior officials of the East Sea Dragon Palace were already dead and lying around. The crowd was wondering how could that young man be so strong? The crowd noticed that King Dragon from the East Sea Dragon Palace was looking terrified. What was Lin Feng's cultivation level? Back then, the East Sea Dragon Palace came to Shuiyu to kill my people? Who sent you to Shuiyu? Said Lin Feng to King Dragon. Does it matter now? Asked King Dragon. Lin Feng was maybe going to die, or he was going to die, so it didn't matter any longer. You're right, but I can't forgive people who participated in the massacre, therefore. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with ice-cold energies, scaring King Dragon. He looked at the corpses and realized that Lin Feng alone posed a real threat to the East Sea Dragon Palace. Jianling Shao, shouted Lin Feng. Young master, said Jianling Shao, bowing before Lin Feng respectfully. Go to the East Sea Dragon Palace and kill everybody, none of them should remain, said Lin Feng indifferently. Everybody heard him clearly. No, shouted the King Dragon furiously. Patriarch, said King Dragon to the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect. He was begging for help. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect looked indifferent though. He wanted to see Lin Feng and King Dragon fight to see how strong Lin Feng was. Roger, young master, said Jianling Shao. Then he left with incredible speed. When you're done with them, go to Jade Heaven and kill everybody there as well, said Lin Feng. Jianling Shao nodded in the distance. People heard a sonic boom as he left. The crowd, especially people from Jade Heaven, were shivering. Kill him, shouted Duan Mu to the King Dragon. However, at that moment, Lin Feng took a step forwards and the ground quaked beneath him. King Dragon looked at Lin Feng. He had the feeling that he was going to die. He looked desperate now that he realized that Jianling Shao wasn't the strongest cultivator. The crowd watched as Lin Feng raised his fist and the space around King Dragon became distorted. No, shouted the King Dragon furiously. He wanted to fight back but he couldn't. Explosions sounded, and King Dragon's head blew up in countless pieces. Was that actually King Dragon? Thought the crowd. They couldn't believe their eyes. Had Lin Feng destroyed him in one punch? The body of the King Dragon fell. His body was convulsing on ground without a head. It's an illusion. That's impossible. Many people closed their eyes and reopened them, and they still couldn't believe it. Tianqi's people were astonished too. They were shaking even. Lin Feng had made the King Dragon's head explode in one punch? How strong was he? Lin Feng has become so strong, thought many people. Was the King Dragon very strong? He hadn't withstood a single attack. Who should I kill now? Said Lin Feng, smiling at Duan Mu. Duan Mu was aghast. Lin Feng disappeared and reappeared in front of the East Sea Dragon Palace's cultivator who had killed people in Shuiyu in the past. He then grabbed the guy by the neck and lifted him into the air. You should know that if the East Sea Dragon Palace is going to be wiped off the map today, it's because of you, said Lin Feng, staring coldly into his eyes. Lin Feng was releasing small threads of death qi which was draining out his life. Then, Lin Feng threw that cultivator high up in the air, rose up and released sword qi. He shouted furiously, "Die, die!" Sword qi whistled, and that person's body was suddenly dangling from the end of Lin Feng's sword, dead. Lin Feng turned around and looked down at the crowd from the East Sea Dragon Palace. His sword qi whistled even louder. Die! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. Then, a light shot towards them and horrible shrieks wailed. They all died. After slaughtering them, he looked at Jade Heaven's people. They looked back at Lin Feng, watching him descend from the sky and land in front of them. Jade Heaven's people were shaking. They were terrified to death. How do you want to die? Asked Lin Feng to the one who had participated in the massacre of Shuiyu. Lin Feng sounded indifferent at that moment. That person was horrified as he said, "If I die, will you forgive Jade Heaven?" "You're going to die anyways. Do you think you can impose conditions?" said Lin Feng, smiling in a cold way. They had almost killed his family members, the girl he loved the most, his friends. He couldn't forgive them. Forgive them? That was the biggest joke in the world. That person's face turned deathly pale. He looked hopeless. How tragic, Jade Heaven was going to be annihilated because he had killed some people in a tiny country so long ago. Nobody could have imagined such an outcome. Patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, why are you not attacking yet? Said Duanmu to the Patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect. The old man next to the Patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect wasn't sure. He was still trying to grasp Lin Feng's strength. Everybody, if we don't join hands to kill him, we'll all die, said Duanmu to Mieching to the others hysterically. There's no need to shout. You're all going to die anyways, even if you join hands, said Lin Feng. Then he took a deep breath and released death abstruse energy which surrounded all the members of Jade Heaven. Die! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. Many people who were weaker died instantly. It was even more astonishing than when Lin Feng had killed people from the East Sea Dragon Palace. Everybody died but Duanmu. Lin Feng looked at Duanmu, which, making him shudder in fear even more violently. You're a demon. Don't do it, shouted Duanmu, releasing qi. He wanted to kill Lin Feng, but Lin Feng looked calm and serene as he said, Die. Lin Feng's silhouette flickered. Bei Ming and Lei Mang, you killed Shin Gong, all of this is on your hands, thought Mieching when he knew he was going to die. Why had they let Bei Ming organize the great competition of Shuiyu back then? Chapter 1450, Done, that's the third group, thought the crowd when they saw Mieching's corpse on the ground. They almost felt paralyzed. Lin Feng, alone, had destroyed 3 terrifying groups from Ganyu, the East Sea Dragon Palace, Jade Heaven and Shin Gong. He had punched the King Dragon to death and had killed Duanmu and Mieching with death qi. He had killed them easily, alone. Who would have thought that? Lin Feng looked at the people from the Xiaoyao sect, glancing at the old man, the tree cultivators who were at the top of the Zunqi layer, and the 2 cultivators of the 7th and 8th Zunqi layer. Do you want to see my cultivation level? Said Lin Feng to the old men. He laughed and said, I'll show you. 6th Zunqi layer. The strong cultivators saw Lin Feng's cultivation level. 6th Zunqi layer. He was as strong as the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, but he had easily killed the King Dragon and the others. It meant that Lin Feng was able to kill cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. You're so confident, but do you know who we are? Said the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, smiling coldly. He was referring to the godly Xiaoyao sect. Lin Feng didn't say anything. He looked at the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect while thinking he was pathetic and miserable. Those people are from the godly Xiaoyao sect from Ba Huang. They're incredible cultivators. The strongest one has broken through to the 8th Zunqi layer even, said the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect, pointing at those people. The godly Xiaoyao sect owns the Xiaoyao sect. No wonder they're not afraid. I wonder if Lin Feng can do anything. He'll probably escape, thought the crowd. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect was smiling in a resplendent way. He was sure that Lin Feng couldn't do anything to them. Lin Feng looked at the patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect as if he had been looking at a buffoon. Those? Said Lin Feng mockingly. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect was stupefied. The old man on his side said, You should leave. You should know when to stop, and if you leave, we won't challenge you further, said the old man indifferently. He didn't sound that confident though. If he had been sure he could kill Lin Feng, he would have attacked already. I don't want to leave. Challenge me, please, said Lin Feng mockingly. Those people were ridiculous. The old man looked annoyed after he heard Lin Feng. You're strong, but you can't compete with an influential imperial group. You're ridiculous. I've killed a few emperor's sons already, but you're probably too old to understand what I am saying, said Lin Feng while releasing death qi. The old man shivered. Killed emperor's sons? And several of them? Boom! Lin Feng took a step and instantly those people were surrounded by death qi. It was a cage of death qi. Since you participated, you'll die too, said Lin Feng at the cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer, making him turn gray from the death energies. Your Excellency, you're also from Ba Huang. Please forgive the godly Xiaoyao sect, said the old man terrified. You're nothing, said Lin Feng. Die. Then, those people's eyes became gray as their lives were being drained out. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect looked stupefied when he sensed how quickly his life was being drained out. Even cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer couldn't stop Lin Feng? Kill him, shouted the cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer, rising up in the air and lunging towards Lin Feng. Slash! A dazzling sword streaked across the sky. Then the ground quaked as the cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer was cut in two and died instantly. The cultivator of the 8th Zunqi layer hadn't withstood a single attack. The two other cultivators of the 7th Zunqi layer turned deathly pale. They already looked gray and were hopeless. Their friend had been killed in one attack? Die, all of you, said Lin Feng while releasing death and cursing strength. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect was staring at Lin Feng. People's lives were being drained out and it was too late to. The patriarch of the Xiaoyao sect was dying too. Just like the others, he collapsed. The last ones to die were the cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer. Lin Feng had killed all of them in one strike. When Lin Feng turned around and looked at the members of the Necropolis sect and the 9 Cloud Sword sect, he was glad to see that they looked terrified. Their patriarchs had thought it'd be smarter to follow the masses, but now they had to suffer the consequences. In such a short time, thought the two patriarchs. They couldn't believe it. A cultivator of the Tianqi layer had become so strong in such a short time. Lin Feng rose up in the air, looking down at them all. Will you let us off? Asked the patriarch of the Necropolis sect. He had broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer, so he was considered an amazing cultivator in Ganyu. You wanted to kill me a moment ago? What about now? Said Lin Feng in a calm and serene way. The cultivation world was cruel. The two patriarchs looked desperate. They had made their choice and now they were going to regret it. Kill yourselves, said Lin Feng indifferently. Those two people were insects before him, so he didn't really care about them. The patriarch of the Necropolis sect smiled tragically and released demon qi. He raised both his hands and said, I was a bad patriarch, Lin Feng, I beg you, raising my disciples wasn't easy, please be merciful, said the patriarch. The ground shook and then his body exploded. After the patriarch of the 9 Cloud Swords sect watched the patriarch of the Necropolis sect smile and commit suicide, he felt like crying. He rose up in the air, released sword qi and killed himself as well. Lin Feng had annihilated so many groups. Lin Feng looked at the two patriarchs, how sad. However, they had brought about their own destruction, so they could only blame themselves. That was the world of cultivation. Lin Feng glanced at the disciples from the Necropolis sect and the 9 Cloud Sword sect. However, Lin Feng slowly turned around and looked at the people from Tianqi. You can decide how you want to deal with Ganyu's affairs. If people from the godly Xiaoyao sect come to avenge their people, tell them that they must go to Tiantai to deal with Lin Feng first. They will understand. Lin Feng then waved and then said, Uncles, brothers, I'm off. See you soon. Then, a gigantic sword appeared, and Lin Feng jumped on it. The crowd heard a sonic boom and then Lin Feng disappeared. Chapter 1451. Back to Ba Huang. Lin Feng's heart was as calm as still water as he rode his sword in the sky above Shuiyu. The Tiansha sect had been destroyed. At the same time, he had also given the Tianxian stone back to Tianxian. That stone was an incredible gift and Lin Feng didn't need it anymore anyways. Lin Feng had finally finished what he has wanted to do for a long time here in Ganyu. He felt so relieved. This time, Lin Feng didn't go to Yangzhou City. He was going to the former imperial city instead. He had already said goodbye to his friends and family members, so he didn't need to go through that again. It would be too sad. Then again, he couldn't stay in Yangzhou City forever. This time, it was better to leave, and next time, he might be able to create a small world to take his friends and family members with him. The former imperial city of Shuiyu didn't look as magnificent as before, but the Celestial Academy still existed. However, it was slowly falling apart. Only some of the former teachers had continued working there. Back then, the second prince led the Celestial Academy behind the scenes. After Duan Wuya left, it had no imperial support anymore. Then Yen Yu Pingxing had died too and the academy started losing its influence. Lin Feng walked through the desolate Celestial Academy. Some disciples passed by, but they looked extremely ordinary. There were only two stronger young disciples who stood out at the central tower. Of course, with Lin Feng's cultivation level, it wasn't possible to compare them with him. Lin Feng stopped in front of the central tower for a few minutes and then continued walking. The two disciples turned around and looked at Lin Feng. They frowned. It's so strange. It seems like he's walking slowly, but in a few seconds he's already so far. Lin Feng then walked through an orchard. It smelt like peaches and there were petals lying on the ground and floating around in the wind. It was extremely pleasant to rest there. Lin Feng opened his eyes and slowly walked towards the pavilion. Back then, Yan Yu Pingsheng liked to spend time there, play some music, meditate. He looked at the place where his teacher used to sit. There was someone else sitting there. They were wearing white clothes, long hair, and they were playing the zither. That person stopped playing the zither and smiled at Lin Feng. The teacher liked Xen Yi back then. Even though she wasn't very strong, she was still outstanding. He thought I wasn't as good as her at playing the zither, but actually, I knew all of his songs. Lin Feng knew it was when Ao Shui. Indeed, Lin Feng knew all of that. Of course, later, he preferred you, said Wen Ao Shui, smiling wryly. Do you know what I'm thinking? Said Lin Feng, looking at Wen Ao Shui in a strange way. Wen Ao Shui nodded and smiled. You are wondering whether I'm a girl or a boy. Indeed. Lin Feng looked at Wen Ao Shui. He was as beautiful as a woman. When he was playing the zither a moment before, Lin Feng had thought it was a woman. He had long, slender hands. His long hair was beautiful. You guess, said Wen Ao Shui, slowly walking towards the orchard. Lin Feng looked at Wen Ao Shui's butt. Wen Ao Shui had told Lin Feng the Wen clan had a teleportation portal in Shuiyu which led to Ba Huang province. Was it there? Lin Feng followed Wen Ao Shui for a little while before they arrived in a place with illusion chi. Is that an illusion? Whispered Lin Feng. It's also a deployment spell, said Wen Ao Shui, smiling. Then he entered it. Lin Feng realized that Wen Ao Shui's steps looked extremely strange, as if there was a mysterious strength. Some holy marks appeared and the space in front of a tree became distorted. Lin Feng followed Wen Ao Shui. The space around them was changing. An altar appeared in front of him. It was the teleportation portal. Even high-level Zun cultivators can't even create that spell, right? Lin Feng was surprised to see that advanced of a deployment spell there. In fact, cultivators at the top of the Zun Qi layer can't even go through it on their own, let alone see it. Even if they walk here, they'll only see an ordinary orchard, replied Wen Ao Shui, smiling. Lin Feng had started studying deployment spells, but later he had stopped because he had too much to study. Let's go back, said Wen Ao Shui, smiling. Then they continued walking forwards, jumped onto the altar, placed many abstruse crystals inside, and activated it. A terrifying strength rose up in the air and lights surrounded them. Teleporting to such a faraway place requires so many abstruse crystals, whispered Lin Feng. With cosmic energies, which use the strength of the earth and sky, teleportation would require even less energies, explained Wen Ao Shui. Lin Feng could sense the strength of the holy marks, but all in all, he still found the whole process very mysterious. The lights were more and more dazzling, and then they disappeared. They immediately landed in the Wen clan's territory. In the blink of an eye, they had traveled over an incredible distance. Isn't it very expensive to travel using the altar? Asked Lin Feng to Wen Ao Shui. Wen Ao Shui laughed and said, Indeed, it's very expensive and requires special items. Besides, the holy marks the altar contains are also incredible. My clan initially created the altar because it was convenient. It was worth it though, but of course it had a price. If you want to go home, sometimes you can come and ask me to use it. Lin Feng shrugged and smiled. Thank you. I just hope you don't have any prejudices, said Wen Ao Shui. He could see that Lin Feng had some doubts when it came to him. Now, Lin Feng knew about Wen Ao Shui's social status in the Wen clan and so on. You're back. Some silhouettes appeared. Wen Tiangu was there and was smiling at Lin Feng. Mr. Wen, said Lin Feng, nodding and smiling at the old man next to Wen Tiangu. Lin Feng had been to his birthday before. Lin Feng, let's have a few drinks. Last time, we didn't have any time to, said Mr. Wen, smiling in a friendly way. All right, said Lin Feng, nodding. Lin Feng had used their teleportation portal, so even though he didn't want to stop, he had to out of politeness. Let's go then, said Mr. Wen, smiling happily. They arrived in a courtyard of a pavilion. Lin Feng, you're a real hero. Last time, I saw how talented you were, and in 2 years from now, apart from emperors, nobody will be able to compete with you. You're already as strong as me, said Mr. Wen, smiling. When Tiangu poured some alcohol in Lin Feng's glass naturally, as if Lin Feng was friends with the Wen clan. You're flattering me. I still have a long way to go, said Lin Feng, smiling. Mr. Wen was a cultivator at the very top of the Zunqi layer. He had even killed many cultivators of the 9th Zunqi layer himself. The old man was being polite, but that didn't mean he was lying. Last time when Lin Feng had been to the Wen clan, he wasn't as strong, but now he was almost as strong as the old man. That was absolutely fact. I'm not flattering you. I wish Tiangu and Ao Shui were as strong as you. Maybe then they would be able to defeat Xia Tianfan, said the old man, smiling. Lin Feng remembered Xia Tianfan. He had challenged some of the strongest young cultivators of the province. 7 days had passed now, so what was Xia Tianfan doing now? Mister, how strong is Xia Tianfan in your opinion? Asked Lin Feng. He's enigmatic. He defeated Si Kong Shao from the Si Kong clan and a strong cultivator from the godly Shao Yao sect. He left Central Ba Huang after that, and now I don't know where he went. Do you know where he's from, mister? Asked Lin Feng. The Wen clan knew a lot, so perhaps they knew this. Xia Tianfan was suddenly rising. He had to be from somewhere important. Chapter 1452. Assassins and Watchers. Mr. Wen's facial expression was strange, and then he looked at Lin Feng in a deep and meaningful way. Mr. Wen did know something. What do you think? Said Mr. Wen, smiling. Lin Feng looked at his smile and took a deep breath. The holy city, centralmost part of the continent, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng thought about all the mysterious things he didn't understand as he said that. Why did the ancient battlefield in the Huang Sea have the shape of Shuiyu? Why had Empress Xi's tomb and the demons sealing Great Emperor's vestiges appear there? Why was the demons sealing Great Emperor's homeland Shuiyu? Who were those people he had met in the shrines? Since you had an answer, why ask? Said Mr. Wen, laughing and sipping his alcohol. That meant Lin Feng was right. Xia Tianfan was from the holy city, so nobody prevented him from challenging all those people who belonged to powerful groups in Ba Huang. Which group did he belong to though? People from the holy city can come here as they wish, but we need to pay with fate seeds to get the key to the holy city? Asked Lin Feng. Mr. Wen smiled but shook his head. It's not that easy. Many people from the holy city will come to Ba Huang province, but only during this year. 1 year after we left the battlefield. Lin Feng was surprised. Why this year? Why did they have to pay with fate seeds? Indeed, said Mr. Wen, smiling and nodding. So Xia Tianfan is not the only cultivator from the holy city in Ba Huang at the moment? Asked Lin Feng. Of course, when you were away, many people became famous, said Mr. Wen, smiling. Lin Feng was surprised. He had left for only 7-8 days and some people had already become famous. Of course, in 1 year, they will leave Ba Huang, so they're only guests here, said Mr. Wen, smiling. Lin Feng knew what he meant. Besides, Mr. Wen was telling Lin Feng those things only because Lin Feng had a very high social status now. Mister, have you ever been to the holy city? Asked Lin Feng, smiling. I have, but I came back, said Mr. Wen, laughing. Why? Asked Lin Feng. I'm old, it wasn't suitable for me there, replied Mr. Wen nonchalantly. He looked like he wanted to laugh again. Lin Feng wanted to ask more, but he controlled himself. He could see the old man didn't want to tell him too much. I hope you, Tiangu and Ao Shui can go there. It will be difficult, but I'm sure you'll manage to overcome the issues, said Mr. Wen. He sounded a bit drunk. He was being more and more open with him, as if Lin Feng had been one of his sons or grandsons. The old man didn't get drunk easily, he was hundreds of years old, but Lin Feng's potential was almost endless. Therefore, being friends with him could only be beneficial. Lin Feng was very happy to be able to talk about such topics with Mr. Wen. Lin Feng had nothing more to say, so he decided to leave. The old man told Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui to see Lin Feng off. He smiled and said, "You're all young people, I hope you can be close friends." "Mister, I'm going." "Goodbye," said Lin Feng waving. Lin Feng then rose up in the air with Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui on his sides. Even though the Wen clan's governmental buildings were extremely vast, after a short time, Lin Feng and the two others made it outside. Lin Feng turned around and smiled at them. "Thank you for seeing me off, guys." "Alright, Brother Lin, take care," said Wen Tiangu nodding. Wen Ao Shui also smiled at Lin Feng. But suddenly, Lin Feng and the two others heard some loud sounds. Terrifying energies dashed to the skies, and Lin Feng and the two others had the feeling they were going to be killed. Bzz. Sword light appeared in the air above them. It was as if there was a vortex sucking them in towards it. A sword condensed and it was incredibly fast. Lin Feng released sword chi and demon energies, while Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui released deadly chi. "Be careful behind you." Lin Feng saw dazzling sword lights creeping behind Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui. That sword was extremely fast. That sword hadn't killed Wen Ao Shui. Its target was Wen Tiangu alone. "Behind!" shouted Wen Ao Shui at the same time. Lin Feng didn't need him to tell him anything. He had also sensed energies coming from behind him. Without a doubt, those people were assassins. However, that sword attack hadn't killed anyone yet, which was weird because assassins usually killed their targets instantly. However, the sword energies which came from behind Lin Feng and behind Wen Tiangu were even more terrifying than the one which had come from the above. Lin Feng's face turned pale. He had managed to dodge the attack because he had an empty space robe, so he could hide for a few seconds, but Wen Tiangu was different. That sword attack was too fast and too scary. Lin Feng knew Wen Tiangu was strong, but he probably couldn't protect himself against such an attack. Even though Lin Feng wasn't far from Wen Tiangu, he couldn't help him, so Wen Tiangu had to rely on his own self. Lin Feng went into an empty space and disappeared. The sword pierced through the air where Lin Feng was standing second before, but it hadn't injured him. As Lin Feng disappeared, Wen Tiangu released terrifying energies. At the same time, he released empty space strength and the space around him became distorted. Slash. The sword energies pierced through the distorted space, and at the same time, the sword coming from above also continued moving towards Wen Tiangu. He had already used all his empty space energy to dodge the first attack, so what could he do about this second attack? Bzz. Dazzling golden lights appeared, and a dazzling arrow shot out. That golden arrow crashed onto the sword above Wen Tiangu. The sword shook, but continued moving down. The assassin who was trying to kill Wen Tiangu wouldn't give up that easily. However, when Ao Shui released his own sword energies, they clashed against the sword energies. "Break!" shouted Wen Ao Shui furiously. He released deadly abstruse energies, forcing the assassin move away. Then, another arrow was moving towards him. "Die!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. He used his deadly demon punch to punch that silhouette's head, instantly making it explode. Assassins were adepts at hiding and killing, so if their first attack failed, they usually failed completely. At the same time, Wen Tiangu also attacked the other one. He quickly released sword energies and created a sword territory which lacerated the opponent alive, but Wen Tiangu wasn't happy about it. Since the assassin failed to kill him, the assassin had let him kill him. Wen Tiangu killed him only because the assassin let him. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and saw someone with a bow and arrows. They were wearing white clothes with a plaited bamboo hat. It was a watcher. Chapter 1453, Counter-Strike. "I haven't seen a watcher in a while," whispered Lin Feng. If the watcher hadn't gotten involved, maybe Wen Tiangu would have died. That must be Wen Tianji's watcher, thought Lin Feng. He was even more curious about the watchers. Surprisingly, Wen Tiangu had a watcher, and nobody had noticed him. The assassins are also adepts at hiding. They had even dared to wait outside the Wen clan's territory. They're absolutely fearless, thought Lin Feng. A strong wind started blowing in the distance. Mr. Wen and a few strong cultivators from the Wen clan rushed over furiously. "How shameless," shouted Mr. Wen furiously. That was the One clan's territory, an imperial clan, and assassins were waiting at the gate to kill their young cultivators. When Tiangu was soaked in a cold sweat. Those people weren't too strong, but the explosiveness of their attacks was terrifying. Look, over there. A strong cultivator from the One clan pointed at a dazzling golden word, die. That gigantic word contained powerful deadly qi. Many people raised their heads and immediately thought about the Imperial Assassin Union. Mr. Wen released deadly abstruse energy which then turned into a deadly sword. It crashed onto the die word and made it explode. Only then did it slowly disperse. Was Wen Tiangu and Wen Ao Shui going to have to go through such things all the time? Grandfather, those 3 assassins came to kill us, said a cultivator from the Wen clan. Indeed, those people must die. Lin Feng agreed. Thank you for your help, dear friend, and thank you to the Watcher's father, said Mr. Wen to the Watcher, smiling and nodding. That's my duty, said the Watcher hoarsely. His plaited bamboo hat shook, which meant he was probably nodding at Mr. Wen. Then he disappeared again. Lin Feng was wondering if the Watcher had really left. Watcher's father? Whispered Lin Feng. Who was the Watcher's father? Who are the Watchers? And who was the Watcher's father? An emperor in the Ba Huang province? Who are those people who acted behind the scenes? Mr. Wen, who's the Watcher's father? Asked Lin Feng. I don't know either, replied Mr. Wen indifferently. But he's the one who raises the Watchers. They are the Imperial Assassin Union's mortal enemies. Maybe there are new Watchers' fathers from generation to generation, or maybe the Watcher's father has always been the same person. How mysterious, said Lin Feng smiling. Things just got more and more confusing for Lin Feng though. Many people would never know about the Watchers and the Assassins, they would only hear rumors and legends while going about their lives. Even Mr. Wen couldn't know precisely. Lin Feng nodded and waved. I'm going now, mister. Goodbye. Lin Feng, you should stay here for a while longer. The Imperial Assassin Union will try to find you and kill you, said Mr. Wen. Lin Feng was also one of the Imperial Assassin Union's targets. Their previous encounter indicated that all 3 of them had the potential to become emperors. I'll have to face them sooner or later. I can't keep hiding, said Lin Feng smiling. See you, Mr. Wen. Lin Feng then turned around looking confident and at ease. Mr. Wen watched as Lin Feng left and smiled thinly. Lin Feng is so confident. He can afford being confident. The great Oriental Greenfinch Rock, who even had an imperial weapon, tried to kill Lin Feng in the battlefield, but he failed numerous times. Whispered Wen Tiangu. The great Oriental Greenfinch Rock's imperial weapon was terrifying. In terms of speed, offense and defense, he was incredible, but Lin Feng had managed to oppress him with his death-cursing energies, and had almost killed him. After Lin Feng left, he jumped onto his gigantic sword and traveled in the direction of central Ba Huang. He wanted to go to Sword City again. He wanted to see the old man from the sword grave. He also wanted to know if Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword had gone back to the grave. Behind him, it seemed like some clouds had been chasing Lin Feng with incredible speed. Lin Feng noticed a silhouette and frowned. It seemed like the assassins had been waiting for him to leave as well. Can you catch up with me though? Lin Feng smiled coldly and his gigantic sword moved even faster. In a flash, he was far off in the distance. After a short time, 2 silhouettes appeared from the clouds. Surprisingly, they had lost him. Who's that? One of them sensed some dangerous energies around them. Suddenly, they wanted to escape, but a metallic ringing sound behind them informed them that they were too late. A sword quickly beheaded that person. The other one was astonished. They wanted to escape, but then another sword light appeared containing many abstruse energies. Who's that? Shouted the second assassin. Are you not assassins? You can't even see those who assassinate you, said a voice in a cold way. The assassin's heart started pounding furiously. He wanted to escape, but 2 gigantic demon hands had grabbed him by his neck. Lin Feng. That person's face turned deathly pale. They had been chasing him, but Lin Feng had reappeared behind them silently. It seems that apart from killing people, you're not good at anything else. It's only too easy to assassinate you too, said Lin Feng. Tell me what the Imperial Assassin Union is? His eyes became pitch black and demon intent filled the sky. Boom! Lin Feng suddenly sensed a powerful attack as energies penetrated his eyes. There was someone else's godly awareness in the assassin's brain. I may not be an incredible fighter, I'm even an ordinary assassin, but amongst the 7 assassins, there are much stronger ones. They'll kill you, Lin Feng, without a doubt, said that person, laughing insanely. Then that person's godly awareness broke apart and he died. I see, even if they don't want to die, they have to. There's a thread of godly awareness lingering inside their brain, thought Lin Feng. He then threw the body away and jumped onto his gigantic sword again. Chapter 1454. Real assassin Lin Feng suddenly sensed a thread of consciousness around him. He turned around, surprised to see that the thread of consciousness which was in the assassin's brain hadn't dispersed and was instead moving towards Lin Feng. Destroy, said Lin Feng, releasing sword energy. However, that thread of godly awareness broke apart into several stars which continued moving towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng frowned and looked at the godly awareness. It had disappeared inside his clothes. What sorcery is this? Whispered Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't sense the energy anymore. Are they tracking me? Thought Lin Feng. Maybe it was a way of tracking his moves. He didn't think about it too much though as he continued moving at full speed towards Sword City. As Lin Feng arrived in Sword City, there were some people already waiting for him. Although he couldn't see them, he heard some sounds, strange sounds which made him feel uncomfortable. He tried to remain calm and serene as he released his godly awareness. He was ready to fight just in case his moves had been tracked. The sounds in his head were louder and louder. He had the sensation that he was going to die at any moment. Lin Feng stayed under the sunlight, but the sounds made him feel cold. It was like his 9 Netherworld song. What a terrifying soundwave technique. The sounds resonate at the same pace as the earth and sky, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng glanced around and saw some people walking on the same street as him. The sunlight made him feel a little warmer, but the sounds still resonated in his head. The sensation was getting more intense. The sound waves were attacking his determination. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and chanted a mantra. His voice contained life energies which then surrounded his body. He started calming down and was feeling warm. However, at that moment, Lin Feng's gigantic sword stopped moving as terrifying energies rolled in waves towards him from every side, like a ferocious animal. Those energies were even more terrifying than those at the gate of the Wen clan's territory. The Imperial Assassin Union knew how strong Lin Feng was and had prepared themselves better this time. Slash! Dazzling sword lights appeared in the sky. All Lin Feng could see was a sun. That person must have been borrowing the strength of the sun and using it in his sword attack. Die! Said Lin Feng, releasing death-cursing strength. At the same time, his sword whistled. Then, Lin Feng turned into a sharp sword, surrounded by dazzling sword lights. His Tianji sword streaked across the sky and moved towards his enemy at full speed. Slash! Slash! Behind him, some chi appeared again. Lin Feng suddenly felt very cold, like he was going to freeze. It was the polar opposite from the sun's sword above him. Another sound and some more sword lights moved towards him. He saw a silhouette wearing white clothes. It looked like a beautiful girl holding a sword. That sword was just an illusion though. Illusion strength acted a lot faster than sword strength. The 2 cultivators who were trying to kill Lin Feng were terrifyingly strong. They really were experts. Lin Feng felt like he couldn't move, otherwise, he'd die. So close yet so far, said Lin Feng. He suddenly appeared in a tunnel. The 3 people who had thrown themselves at Lin Feng couldn't get close to him now. But suddenly, Lin Feng had the sensation that he was going to be dragged out of the so close yet so far technique. He saw a stunning woman who was trying to seduce him. She was holding a sword while she was slowly getting undressed. However, Lin Feng smiled coldly. That illusion spell didn't work. Yiren Lei was 1,000,000 times better than her at using such spells. Die! Shouted Lin Feng. Suddenly, demon lights emerged from his eyes. The girl didn't look as seductive anymore. The death chi emerging from Lin Feng's eyes immediately moved in through the girl's eyes and beheaded her from the inside. Bzz. After killing the girl, another woman in white clothes threw herself at Lin Feng. Her sword lights were aiming for Lin Feng's throat. What a terrifying attack, thought Lin Feng. That girl was also in Lin Feng's illusion. She had entered with the girl Lin Feng had just killed. Arg! Lin Feng shouted furiously and the ground shook. A demon king appeared behind Lin Feng. If Lin Feng hadn't used his empty space robe, in such dire circumstances, he would have died countless times now. Boom! The ground shook. Lin Feng stretched out his hand, which resembled a demon's hand, and sword energies emerged from it. His hand was bigger than his enemy's entire body. The terrifying sword energies penetrated his demonic hand but didn't destroy it. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. In the air, 4 assassins appeared around Lin Feng at the same time. They still weren't done with him. Their energies moved towards Lin Feng. He couldn't even use his empty space robe to escape this time because he was surrounded by people on all sides. Chapter 1455. Soundwave Battle. The assassins were all around him and were condensing their energies. They wanted to destroy Lin Feng completely. Empty space shield. Lin Feng used his empty space robe to wrap himself up in empty space strength. He almost disappeared. The assassins' facial expressions didn't change as their energies surrounded Lin Feng. He was caught in a web of energies. Buzzing sounds roared all around him, reminding him that if he reappeared again, he'd die. When Lin Feng appeared again, his Ling Long's holy celestial qi blossomed out again. Empty space bestial illusion technique, so close yet so far. At that moment, Lin Feng used his full strength to hide inside the illusion. Terrifying sword energies were assaulting the empty space, but they didn't injure Lin Feng. It was as if he were in an entirely different space. Finally, the facial expressions of the assassins changed. Lin Feng had used the strength of a holy weapon just before, but now he was using his own energy, high-level empty space energy. Of course, Lin Feng's abstruse energy wasn't at the maximum level, so he had made his energy fuse together with Ling Long's holy celestial to make even stronger. The sword attacks couldn't reach him. Lin Feng took advantage of the distortions in the space around him to rise in the air. Then, dazzling lights appeared along with death energies. Lin Feng finally managed to rise into the air and could look down at all the assassins under him. There were 6 assassins in total and they weren't happy that he had managed to escape. Bzz. The 6 assassins moved back and gradually disappeared. They seemed to be fusing together with the scenery. What a terrifying attack, thought Lin Feng. He could sense what seemed like a group attack forming. Maybe that was their trump card. Their chi had completely disappeared, as if nobody was there. I shoot, you kill, said a voice in Lin Feng's head. He realized that someone was standing next to him. That person was wearing a plaited bamboo hat, but Lin Feng couldn't see his face. That person had a bow and arrow in his hands. All right, said Lin Feng, nodding. A watcher again. But it wasn't the same one as before. They looked exactly the same though. Even his voice was the same. However, Lin Feng knew it wasn't the same watcher from before because of his height. This one was slightly shorter. The watcher shot an arrow towards the group of assassins and then Lin Feng flew like the wind. Slash, slash. Dazzling sword lights moved along with the arrow. However, at the same time, an even more dazzling sword appeared. The cultivator who appeared was very pale. The sword energies killed him instantly. The watcher flew back next to Lin Feng and shot another arrow. More chi rolled in waves towards the enemy. Lin Feng groaned coldly and released even more sword chi with the arrow. Even though the assassins were incredible killers, if their enemies ever found them, especially an enemy like Lin Feng, they stood no chance, especially given that a watcher was now helping Lin Feng. Another assassin died. They're escaping, said Lin Feng. This time, the watcher took out another arrow and aimed it at a third assassin. His arrow shot out just as strong as the previous ones. Lin Feng wanted to attack, but a sound invaded his brain. The watcher was also affected by the sudden attack. His hands wavered, and his arrow slowly fell. "The 7 assassins," said the Watcher hoarsely. Then, chi rolled in waves and a silhouette appeared. That person was wearing a green-blue robe and was holding several flutes in his hands. How agile, thought Lin Feng. The enemy was about 1,000 meters away, but it was difficult to see him because of his agility. Lin Feng had seen some of the 7 assassins before. They were on a higher level from ordinary assassins. For example, by Qiu Luo from the Sunset Pavilion. He was probably one of the 7 assassins before. The 7 assassins were probably the core disciples of the Imperial Assassin Union, but some of them had already died. The other assassins didn't hide anymore. They instead jumped next to the strong one and fixedly stared at Lin Feng and the Watcher in a cold way. They hadn't managed to kill Lin Feng, so now the 7 assassins had to be involved. "Lin Feng!" shouted the assassin. His voice actually made Lin Feng shake, but he remained calm on the outside. He started singing the 9 Netherworlds song to counter the soundwave abstruse energies. In terms of soundwaves, the 7 Assassins song wasn't as powerful as the 9 Netherworlds demoniac song. However, Lin Feng didn't understand the 9 Netherworlds demoniac song that well. The assassins started running towards Lin Feng. The enemy began playing the flute again as more soundwaves assaulted Lin Feng. He's using the force of the earth and sky to make his soundwave energies even stronger, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng also started running. The area around them was filled with the force of the earth and sky, and sound waves. "Die!" shouted the assassin. He put his flute away and jumped forwards. His energies rose to the skies and oppressed Lin Feng. Lin Feng's sound waves seemed like they were going to break under that pressure. "Move back!" shouted Lin Feng to the Watcher. Lin Feng didn't know which of the 7 assassins that guy was, but he had broken through to the 8th Zunqi layer and was terrifyingly strong. Besides, he controlled the force of the earth and the sky very well. The power of his attacks was multiplied by 20 from that alone. The assassin seemed extremely confident that he was going to kill Lin Feng. He wasn't only a bit strong, he could easily destroy ordinary cultivators of the 9th Zunqi layer. Terrifying demon energies surrounded Lin Feng's body and the demon behind him shouted furiously. "It's going to explode." The Watcher and the assassins moved back. They could sense that the space around Lin Feng was going to explode. The space turned black, then gray, and finally it exploded. Lin Feng and the assassin soundwaves were so terrifying and that they had been accumulating in one place, that Lin Feng's demon illusion exploded. It released millions of threads of energies, piercing through Lin Feng's skin. Lin Feng shouted in pain, blood now dripping. The assassin was also affected by Lin Feng's 9 Netherworlds demoniac song. His eyes had become black, and he felt like he was dying. Chapter 1456, Deadly Sword. The assassin was turning into a demon. His entire body had turned black. Lin Feng then fixedly stared at him and said, "Look at me." This time, Lin Feng didn't use his demon-cursing energies. He just looked into his enemy's eyes and shouted, "Go!" Boom! Demon chi flew through the sky, moving towards his enemy. With such a terrifying attack, cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer could even turn into demons, but that cultivator was surprisingly still resisting. The cultivator looked at Lin Feng again, but he looked normal again. He had recovered and was smiling coldly. Lin Feng invoked his blood strength and dragons started chanting. "Absorbing strength?" said the assassin frowning. Lin Feng was using absorbing abstruse energy to swallow his sound waves using his blood strength? He's absorbing sound waves? Bzz. The assassin condensed a sword. Then he moved so fast that the people around him heard a sonic boom. As he flew forwards, his sword morphed into a flight of stairs. When the other guy had conjured up a sword, Lin Feng had also released sword energies, and then used his desolate Xana attack. It too was extremely fast. The two swords collided, and that flight of stairs made of energies grew. At the same time, the assassin had already released a second sword attack. The flight of stairs made of energies moved even closer to Lin Feng. That sword made Lin Feng feel like suffocating. Bzz. Death energies flooded about and the stairs broke. There were so many energies in the sky that Lin Feng and his enemy were barely visible. Lin Feng's enemy was releasing sword energies which again turned into a gigantic flight of stairs, quickly enlarging again. The assassin was just as surprised as Lin Feng. Lin Feng had only broken through to the 6th Zunqi layer, but he could still resist his sword attacks. Die! Die! The two sword lights collided. Then the assassin released soundwave energies while Lin Feng released cursing strength. They were both pushed backwards. The assassin then pointed at Lin Feng and shouted, "Die!" The flight of stairs broke apart into several swords which all moved towards Lin Feng. "Die!" shouted the assassin again. The earth and sky were turning into countless swords, which all moved towards Lin Feng. "Immortal!" shouted Lin Feng. He released sword energies which contained death and immortal energies, as well as the force of the earth and sky. "Come out!" shouted the assassin loudly. Sword lights rose up in the air. He stretched out his hand and his sword spirit fused together with the force of the earth and sky. "How strong!" thought Lin Feng after seeing his enemy's spirit. He released demon chi which turned into another demon king. "Come out!" shouted Lin Feng. "Roar, roar, roar!" His dragon king shouted furiously and jumped out of Lin Feng's body. "Take it!" shouted Lin Feng. He took out his gigantic axe, a peerless holy weapon, and gave it to the demon king. At the same time, he took out Shen Yuan's axe. The assassin was surprised. Lin Feng's demon had taken form and could even use weapons. Finally, it is almost real, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng had studied that demon king in the demon shrine on the 8th floor, but he hadn't been able to summon anything besides an illusion until that point. Lin Feng's demon chi disappeared and fused together with the demon king. He was still surrounded by an infinite amount of sword chi though. The assassin's eyes twinkled. He wanted to create a cage with his sword spirit, and then use his energies to constrict Lin Feng and kill him. "Die!" shouted the assassin. His sword moved towards Lin Feng. "Arg!" The demon king also roared furiously and threw himself at the assassin with his axe. Lin Feng also threw himself forward. He had used so many sword attacks in such a short time. But he never flinched away. He fought like a real warrior. He rose up in the air and condensed more immortal energies. Many people in Sword City had already raised their heads and were watching the battle take place in the sky. "Be careful!" shouted someone behind Lin Feng. Someone was attacking Lin Feng by surprise, even though he was already in the middle of a terrifying battle. An assassin! He had forgotten that he was fighting against assassins for a second. They had waited for the best opportunity to attack him. "So close yet so far!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. However, his empty space lights were instantly destroyed by the assassin. Lin Feng just needed a millisecond to release empty space energy and disappear, but his enemy wasn't going to give him that opportunity. "Die!" shouted the Watcher, shooting an arrow at the one who was attacking Lin Feng by surprise. "Bzz!" Lin Feng moved away, but that sword pierced through him anyways. The deadly abstruse energies started corroding inside him. Suddenly, a choir of dragons chanting emanated from Lin Feng's body. The assassin moved away and smiled coldly. He turned to the one who had just attacked Lin Feng by surprise. He was soaked with blood and looked pale. He said, "Let me take care of this." "I have to help you," said the fourth assassin, smiling. The one against whom Lin Feng had been fighting fiercely was the third assassin. "Be careful, there are more assassins lurking," said the Watcher to Lin Feng. Then, a dozen more extremely strong assassins appeared. Lin Feng's face was deathly pale. He released life abstruse energy and recovered, but it wasn't quick enough. Chapter 1457. Furious Lin Feng glanced around with his pitch-black eyes and shouted furiously, "How many of you are there?" Lin Feng could sense their chi, but it was difficult to know how many people were attacking him. In the past, each time he had been attacked by assassins, there weren't that many of them. This time, they were pulling out all the shots. 9 assassins, and over there are some people who might attack as well, said the Watcher to Lin Feng hoarsely. A moment before, the Watcher had shouted with what was probably his real voice. On top of that, the Watcher's real voice almost sounded like a woman's voice. "Are you injured? Are you all right?" asked the Watcher as hoarsely as before. "Can you shoot an arrow at the crowd?" asked Lin Feng to the Watcher using telepathy. The Watcher remained silent for a few seconds and replied, All right, get ready to attack." Lin Feng released sword chi using both his hands. He condensed 2 dazzling swords and lights illuminated the sky. His swords were particularly large. More and more people gathered below them to observe the great battle. Many people had recognized the Imperial Assassin Union and Lin Feng. Besides, on another side, Lin Feng's Demon King was also fighting using his axe. That axe weighed more than a ton and could easily destroy a mountain range. It kept striking at the third assassin, who was already injured and couldn't compete with the Demon King at all. Luckily, he was faster than the Demon King. He had told the fourth assassin to go and kill Lin Feng. Even though the 2 core assassins weren't happy to see each other, they were also relieved because they couldn't have dealt with Lin Feng on their own. "I'm going to attack," said the Watcher to Lin Feng. In a flash, 9 Watchers appeared, but they didn't have a bow, just arrows. They each aimed at different targets and attacked at the same time. Lin Feng was astonished, but he quickly regained his composure and attacked too. Slash, slash, blood flew as some people who were hiding suddenly appeared, injured or dead. Amongst the 9 targets, 4 were immediately killed by Lin Feng, 2 lost an arm, 1 lost a leg, 1 was vertically cut in 2, and only 1 ended up with a light injury. They weren't part of the 7 elite assassins. Considering that even the 3rd assassin lost to Lin Feng, those regular assassins couldn't compete with Lin Feng at all. The 4th assassin was extremely strong though, but he didn't attack Lin Feng. Instead, he threw himself at the Watcher. He also knew speed abstruse energy, so his speed was unparalleled. The Watcher's illusions shot arrows at the 4th assassin. At the same time, a terrifying oppressive energy shot out, but the 4th assassin easily dodged the attacks. He was getting nearer and nearer, leaving dazzling lights trailing behind him. "What a fast sword," thought Lin Feng. The enemy was getting too close to the Watcher. Behind, Lin Feng realized. The 3rd assassin was attacking too. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and took out a heart. The sky shook as the heart turned into a palace and collided with the assassins. The gigantic palace was looming in the air when Lin Feng opened the door and told the Watcher, "Go inside." Lin Feng noticed that his Watcher wasn't as strong as when Tianji's Watcher. Even though he couldn't see that Watcher's cultivation level, he could sense the power of their arrows. "All right, you be careful," said the Watcher nodding. He then jumped into the Jade Emperor's palace. He didn't want to pretend that he could keep fighting. He knew Lin Feng was stronger than him. After the Watcher disappeared into the palace, Lin Feng's palace became small again. Then he looked at the 4th assassin in a cold way. At the same time, a scepter appeared in his hand. He was beyond infuriated. He turned around and looked at the ordinary assassins with his pitch-black eyes while releasing terrifying death chi. Cursing strength turned those assassins gray. They wanted to escape and hide, but they couldn't. "Die, all of you," shouted Lin Feng furiously. Terrifying death-cursing energies surrounded their bodies, and at the same time, Lin Feng released sword energies beheaded all of them at once. Lin Feng turned around but found that the 4th assassin had disappeared again. "Godly Awareness Palace," said Lin Feng. In a flash, a dazzling Godly Awareness Palace appeared. "Piss off," shouted Lin Feng. His Godly Awareness Palace turned into 10,000 threads of awareness and they moved in every direction around him. Very quickly, a thread of his Godly Awareness Palace touched something. Lin Feng instantly lunged towards that direction while releasing sword chi. Slash, slash. The enemy's sword appeared. He knew he couldn't hide any longer. Almost as soon as his sword appeared, it collided against Lin Feng's desolate Xana attack. Lin Feng disappeared and released more cursing energies. Curse! Boom! The scepter's cursing energies collided against the enemy's sword, corroded his body. The assassin wanted to escape, but a demonic territory surrounded them. A horrible shriek sounded after Lin Feng's death sword destroyed his own sword. Lin Feng's sword, which contained death and immortal energies, continued moving forwards and cut off his arm, and then Lin Feng grabbed him by his throat. His demon territory disappeared. Lin Feng raised the fourth assassin's body, which was already soaked with blood. "I can't wait to meet the first and second assassins," said Lin Feng, smiling devilishly. His sword chi then descended from the sky as he shouted, "Die!" His sword chi lacerated the fourth assassin's body and he turned to ashes. Chapter 1458. Sword Grave. The third assassin was terrified. He was already in the distance, glancing behind him to see everybody else dead. The fourth assassin was dead. All the other ordinary assassins were dead. They had lost again. Lin Feng looked at him in a cold way, then more sword energies rose up in the air. Bzz. The third assassin created an empty space and flew into it. He disappeared from Lin Feng's field of vision and Lin Feng didn't continue chasing him. The second and first assassin will be even stronger. The third assassin is already so strong, thought Lin Feng, who was the leader of the Imperial Assassin Union. How strong was the first assassin? They had lost this time, so they would try again, even stronger than before. Arg! Demon energies whistled and then went back into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng took out the Jade Emperor's palace and told the Watcher to come out. The Watcher glanced around and nodded at Lin Feng before leaving. "Wait, wait," shouted Lin Feng. The Watcher stopped. "Can I see you face?" said Lin Feng. The Watcher shook his head and said hoarsely, "Goodbye." Then he left and disappeared. They almost had the same methods as the assassins, but the Watchers were better at hiding than the assassins. He turned around and flew towards Jianghe. Lin Feng hadn't arrived in Jianghe yet, but the strong cultivators from Jianghe were already there waiting for him. They had seen the battle. Jian Mu and sent strong cultivators from Jianghe to watch the battle. They were amazed by their young master's progress. He could already defeat high-level Zun cultivators. Maybe that within the next 10 years, apart from emperors, nobody could defeat Lin Feng. Lin Feng entered Jianghe and went straight to the sword grave. Nobody doubted Lin Feng's ability anymore. Even though the sword had come back and people still asked themselves questions about it, they had calmed down about it for now. Lin Feng entered the grave and found the same old man standing there, cleaning the grave. Bzz. A terrifying sword chi invaded the cave as Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword started whistling. The strong cultivators from Jianghe heard the sword and sharp lights appeared in their eyes. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was whistling because their young master had come back. Bzz. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword flew around Lin Feng very loudly. Lin Feng smiled and grabbed Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. It continued shaking though. "You've become good friends," said the old man smiling. "Not bad, your chi has become quite strong. You've already broken through to the 6th Zun Chi layer and your blood is strong as well. How are your fighting abilities?" "I can easily kill ordinary cultivators of the 9th Zun Chi layer," replied Lin Feng smiling. "I see. People who manage to break through to the 9th Zun Chi layer are quite strong. If you say you can easily defeat them, that means you are very talented. Show me how strong your sword spells are," said the old man smiling. Lin Feng took out his Tianji sword. It was dazzling and seemed to be breathing. It then released wind, thunder, empty space energies and so on. "Not bad. You still need to raise it more. Then it could kill high-level Zun cultivators alone," said the old man indifferently. Lin Feng put it back, apparently not impressing the old man. Lin Feng knew the old man was extraordinary, so impressing him was probably out of the question. "Mister, I've been to the ancient battlefield in the Huang Sea and I sense the energies from Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword," said Lin Feng. "The ancient battlefield? People have been going there for tens of thousands of years. 5,000 years ago, Emperor Wu Tianjian was also a strong cultivator, so he went there too, of course. There's nothing surprising about that," said the old man laughing. "Did you get fate seeds?" asked the old man. "I did." Lin Feng nodded and took them out. When you manage to utilize the force of the earth and sky really well, when you're about to achieve enlightenment, Put a fate seed in your brain and you'll be able to understand the cosmic energy easily. Your chances of becoming an emperor will be multiplied by 3, said the old man smiling. Of course, it's better to rely on your own abilities and own energies, said the old man sitting down. I see. With talent, you always have the advantage, thought Lin Feng. It was better to rely on one's cosmic energies than on the fate seeds. Fate seeds were good for the first step while breaking through to the Huang Qi layer. Many people knew it was better, but they still relied on external resources. The Imperial Assassin Union attacked you? Said the old man smiling. Lin Feng also sat down. Yes, on the way. Who are they exactly? Asked Lin Feng. Did the old man know? You cannot imagine who they are. You'll face many dangers this year, but I'm convinced you'll always manage to find solutions. Many geniuses will fall, but I hope that you will survive and become stronger. The Demon Emperor, 1,000 years ago, had managed to overcome all difficulties. I hope you'll do the same. I hope you won't just become an emperor of the Ba Huang province, said the old man smiling. Explore the world and see how vast it is, thought Lin Feng. His eyes were twinkling. Chapter 1459. How to become an emperor. Lin Feng and the old man chatted for some time. They talked about cultivation, swords. The old man taught Lin Feng some things. Lin Feng also asked the old man about his sickness, but he just shook his head and changed the topic. Lin Feng couldn't insist. When they finished talking, Lin Feng decided to leave. Do you need Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword? Asked the old man, smiling at Lin Feng. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was floating above Lin Feng's hand. It wanted to stay with Lin Feng. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and grabbed it. Lin Feng smiled and caressed the sword, saying, Little guy, you've spent some time with me, you also protected me, now you should stay with Grandpa because he's all alone in here. Busy. The sword moved back above the old man's head. You really don't want it? Asked the old man smiling. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword is not an ordinary weapon, it's a terrifying imperial weapon. Lin Feng obviously knew that. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword was alive and could attack on its own, just like a person. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. Mister, I have to walk on my own path. Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword is not my sword, so I can't rely on it. It is better if it stays with you. See you later. Lin Feng bowed and left. The old man looked at Lin Feng and smiled. When he had seen Lin Feng arrive, he thought that it was for Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword. He knew how precious it was and that it had saved Lin Feng a few times already. But no, Lin Feng had come to see him. The old man was very happy with him. After Lin Feng left, Emperor Wu Tianjian's sword kept whistling and dazzling about the grave. People from Jiang'e were happy because they thought that it was a good sign. In the sky, wind, thunder and sword energies rolled in waves. Many people raised their heads to see Lin Feng going up the stairs to Tiantai. 2 beautiful women came out when they heard him. Lin Feng put his arms around them and caressed their heads, smiling in a resplendent way. He hadn't left for a long time, but he had missed them. How's everybody at home? Asked Meng Qing, smiling at Lin Feng. Everything is perfect. Those who made you turn back into an animal back then are all dead. I killed every one of them. The Yunhai sect has genuinely come back to life. Everyone in the Imperial Palace is all right as well, said Lin Feng, smiling back. Lin Feng, when will you take me there? Asked Qiu Yu Xian angrily. Lin Feng smiled. Wait for when I become an emperor, we'll all gather together then. Lin Feng was worried. How would Qiu Yu Xian and Xen Yi react when they first met? The following days, Lin Feng practiced cultivation calmly in his castle. He kept fighting against himself, trying to understand the force of the earth and the sky. After having been cleansed by the lights of the gate, he understood it a lot better. 1 month later, without using abstruse energies, Lin Feng could defeat himself, the one who was 10 times stronger than him. Apart from that, Lin Feng also studied enlightenment marks. 3 months later, Lin Feng and his own self were fighting again. The flight of stairs seemed like it was going to explode from their fight. That illusion was Lin Feng, but with a force 100 times stronger. Lin Feng couldn't win against himself relying solely on force, but using special powers he could resist himself at least. His body was becoming stronger as he understood the force of the earth and sky better. At that moment, Lin Feng was breathing heavily. He had just finished another battle. In the illusion, he saw a silhouette who was smiling at him. "Brother," said Lin Feng to Mu Chen. Mu Chen nodded and smiled. "Lin Feng, your understanding of force condensation is getting more and more terrifying. At that speed, you'll manage to defeat yourself with a force 100 times better and in less than 2 years. 2 years is a long time and that's only 100 times stronger," said Lin Feng. He wasn't satisfied. He needed to understand the force of the earth and sky to its highest degree, otherwise it would be difficult to surpass himself. "Brother, how strong does one's force have to be to break through to the Huang Qi layer?" asked Lin Feng. "The third illusion's force is 1,000 times stronger. You must have tried it already." "1,000 times your force, what do you think?" said Mu Chen smiling. Lin Feng smiled wryly and shook his head. 1,000 times? That's too strong. Becoming an emperor is difficult, thought Lin Feng. 1,000 times stronger? Plus cosmic energies? How strong? No wonder emperors belonged to another world. Of course, that's why there are few emperors in Ba Huang. Besides, emperors need time to become stronger. Step by step, some people have broken through the 9th Zun Qi layer, but are still very far from breaking through to the Huang Qi layer. High-level abstruse energies are good, but you also must see how powerful a cultivator is using force. Intensely studying abstruse energies and focusing on fighting are good things, but then you still need to focus on force," said Mu Chen smiling. Becoming an emperor was easier said than done. Mu Chen says some cultivators at the very top of the Zun Qi layer have incredible abstruse energies, but can't understand force, thought Lin Feng, and then he said, "A force that is 1,000 times stronger, what kind of feeling is that?" "Ha, you'll see when you achieve it. Our teacher said that when you manage to deploy a force that is 1,000 times stronger than you, something happens in your body and you will sense it. When you borrow the strength of the earth and sky, it listens to you, but when you manage to have a force which is 1,000 times stronger, it's a part of you. It's like your hands and feet. That's the only way for you to understand and absorb cosmic energies. In other words, without a force that is 1,000 times stronger, even if you can sense cosmic strength, it's not a part of your body so you can't use it properly in battle," explained Mu Chen. In the past, Lin Feng used to dream about that. He had always wondered how to become an emperor, and now he knew. "Let's go, Lin Feng. Let's go to the sky above the sky. Let's go and listen to our teacher's teachings," said Mu Chen. "Lin Feng, come," said Emperor Yu. Lin Feng and Mu Chen then sat down. The teacher smiled at his disciples. He wasn't a strict teacher. "Teacher," said Lin Feng, smiling and nodding at Emperor Yu. Mu Chen, Lin Feng and the others were sitting with the others. "You've become so strong already, I didn't want to disturb you. It seems like a shout from you and you can make your friends collapse," said Emperor Yu smiling. Lin Feng felt embarrassed. Chapter 1460, Powerful Attack. "No problem, I love attending classes," said Lin Feng smiling. "All right, I told your fellow disciples about how to become an emperor. Mu Chen probably told you some things too. Is there anything you still want to ask?" asked Emperor Yu to Lin Feng. "I want to know, how strong is cosmic energy compared to abstruse energy?" Mu Chen had told Lin Feng that if a cultivator's force was 1,000 times stronger, something happened in their body. It meant that cosmic energy had to be a certain amount stronger than abstruse energy to turn into cosmic energy. "Why do you ask?" asked Emperor Yu. "Emperor's force is 1,000 times stronger from my understanding. For Zun cultivators, cosmic energy is too powerful, so they belong to 2 different worlds. I have broken through to the 6th Zun Qi layer, but I can kill cultivators of the 9th Zun Qi layer. If I get a little stronger, I'll be able to kill cultivators at the very top of the 9th Zun Qi layer, but I have the feeling that after that, no matter how strong I get, I won't be able to defeat emperors," said Lin Feng calmly. "Teacher, I've also heard that Zun cultivators could never possibly defeat emperors. Emperor Yu was surprised. He looked at Lin Feng in a strange way. What was Lin Feng thinking? Lin Feng's fellow disciples thought the same as him. They also had the feeling that emperors and Zun cultivators belonged to two different worlds. Emperor Yu then smiled and glanced at Mu Qin. You tell them. Mu Qin smiled and nodded. Amongst all of you, if anyone with the strength of the Zun Qi layer could defeat an emperor, it would be you, Lin Feng. Me. Lin Feng was surprised. What? Of course, it was an if. The others looked disappointed but still smiled at Lin Feng. Indeed, I'm not saying that the others aren't strong. Can you try and guess what advantage emperors have compared to Zun cultivators? Asked Mu Qin. Of course, there are two things, a force that is 1,000 times stronger, which means being able to fuse together with the earth and sky, and then cosmic energies. Neither of those were easy to accomplish though. For a Zun cultivator, without a force that is 1,000 times stronger, defeating an emperor is impossible. Being able to fuse together with the earth and sky is an absolute requirement. And it's impossible to resist against cosmic energies as well. Abstruse energies are far from being as powerful, but what about 2 types of extremely powerful abstruse energies? And 3 types? 4 types? 7, 8? Not enough. If that's not enough, then you need to make more types of abstruse energies fuse together, and then? Said Mu Qin slowly. Everybody understood what Mu Qin meant at that moment. Lin Feng had amazed the whole province because he knew so many types of abstruse energies, and his fighting abilities were incredible because he could make them fuse together. The better a Zun cultivator's abstruse fusions were, the more chances he had to defeat emperors. You have great abilities, Lin Feng. Even after you become an emperor, you'll become incredible. You'll probably become the strongest of all of us. Said Rosia. Of course, don't try and fight against emperors. If you can, study cosmic energies first. It would be better if you became an emperor before challenging other emperors. Said Emperor. He was worried that Lin Feng would go and offend an emperor alone. I understand, said Lin Feng nodding. Teacher, let's study the force of the earth and sky first, or abstruse energies, asked Mu Bei. As you wish. The most important thing is determination though. When you think you need to understand a kind of strength, study it. There is no need for a particular order. You can have a fight against Mu Qin. He'll show you what force feel like as well as high-level abstruse energies, said Emperor Yu. Alright, let's do it, said Xingzhan smiling. He wanted to try. Alright, I'll show you, said Mu Qin laughing teasingly. Xingzhan jumped in front of Mu Qin, and suddenly he couldn't smile anymore. Mu Qin's force was oppressing him incredibly with a force 100 times stronger than him. Lin Feng wasn't far, but he also sensed the force. As expected, when Xingzhan wanted to counterattack, but he collapsed. He couldn't stand such an oppressive force. How does it feel? Asked Mu Qin. Again, shouted Xingzhan furiously. Bestial qi emerged from his horn this time. All right. Mu Qin smiled. His oppressive strength had disappeared, but Xingzhan had the impression that Mu Qin had the situation under control. Everybody had the same impression. Even Lin Feng was astonished. The space around Xingzhan had turned into a cage. Mu Qin's force is already 1,000 times stronger, which is a requirement to break through to the Huang Qi layer. Lin Feng and the other disciples were astonished. Mu Qin was a cultivator at the very top of the Zun Qi layer. His abstruse energies were also at a high level. Did that mean he was going to become an emperor soon? Do you know how to build a small world? Asked Mu Qin. Lin Feng was astonished. A force 1,000 times stronger. That small piece of space had become Mu Qin's own small world. I'll show you, said Emperor Yu smiling. An incredibly oppressive energy surfaced, making everybody suffocate. Emperor Yu was just calmly sitting there, but the energies he was giving off were insane. Teacher, when emperors fight, Lin Feng said. That's exactly what I was getting to. 2 sorts of energies need to intertwine. For that you need cosmic energies and a force which is 1,000 times stronger than yourself, said Emperor. Lin Feng nodded. 1,000 times stronger. Boom! At that moment, the ground shook violently. It seemed like the earth and sky were going to collapse, including Emperor Yu's small world even. Boom, boom, everybody was looking around. What's going on? It seemed like that world was really going to collapse. Emperor Yu raised his head and sharp lights appeared in his eyes. Easy. Gigantic clouds appeared, and then black hole appeared. From it, a silhouette appeared. Emperor Qi. Lin Feng and the others were astonished. Emperor Qi was attacking Emperor Yu's small world. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.